Saturday afternoon in the city, and the 7 train leads to Citi Field. The Mets pulled one out last night. Talk about your game time intensity. Like a cat. Ready to go with the eye black and everything. Check your scorecard because the lineup has changed today. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Kansas City Royals. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today as the Mets play the middle game of their weekend series against Kansas City. Mets won last night 4-2 on a walk-off home run in the 11th inning by Eric Young. But, the big but, David Wright, the captain, is on the disabled list. He suffered a hamstring injury last night. Don't know exactly how long he'll be out, but it'll be at least the 15 days.
Well, obviously, this is a big blow for the Mets. He's so important to this lineup. He is the captain. He's the big guy in the lineup there. Looks like a high hamstring pull right there. I can tell you from my experience, I was out 3 weeks, and it came back in 3 weeks, and it wasn't long enough. I'm more thinking in terms of a month. What it does for this lineup, well, Marlon Byrd has been the guy leading this team in RBIs, primarily because he's been hitting behind David. Not that he hasn't given David protection, but they've opted to pitch to Marlon, and Marlon has been terrific. Now it's much more burden on Marlon to pick up the slack from David and Daniel Murphy, who's hitting behind Marlon. I think you're going to see that now. Murphy's hitting 5th again for the 2nd straight day to give a left-handed bat behind Marlon Byrd. So all in all, it's just a real bad break. You don't only lose the bat of David Wright, but you lose his glove too. It always gets in the back burner. You don't think of it defensively. Turner's going to be playing a 3rd today, but it looks like Murphy's going to be the guy that's going to be playing 3rd as long as most of the time when David's out, and we don't know. It could be 3 weeks to a month.
So they also lose David's leadership. And, on this particular ball club, David is such a big part of the lineup. There are other teams that can better absorb his loss. Like 2 years ago when he went on the disabled list for 2 months with a back injury, the Mets had Carlos Beltran in the middle of their lineup, and that made a big difference. They were able to keep their heads above water.
Well, this lineup doesn't have the depth of those teams back in the mid 2000s. So it's a big blow for this club. There's no question. You got to wonder. Lucas Duda hit a home run yesterday. Are they going to call Lucas Duda up? Baxter's here right now. He's been the guy that they called up.
They could put Duda back in left field and move Eric Young to second base. Today it's Jeremy Hefner to make the start. He was supposed to pitch tomorrow, but Carlos Torres was forced into relief last night, so Hefner gets moved up a day.
Well, it's his 4th start since the All-Star break. He's 0-2, and he has struggled. His last outing was a rough one out down in Miami. He's looking to kind of get back on the track, get a little more velocity, a little more sharpness in his breaking ball.
And former Met and veteran left-hander Bruce Chen returns to Flushing to pitch against the Mets.
Well, Bruce Chen now is, 36 years of age. I remember him pitching for the Mets. His career against the Mets is 1-1 in 5 starts. He started out in the bullpen. This is his 4th start of the season.
And he's been pitching very, very well for the Royals since they put him in the rotation. Mets and Royals from Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. Lexus RX. By State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the day is John Garfinkel of Brooklyn. Contact John's office at johngarfinkel.com. By Wise Snacks, visit sny.tv/wise to find the Fan Slam Street Team for prizes. By Audi, Truth in Engineering. And by eBay Now. eBay Now brings you same-day delivery from local stores for just $5 per order. Run the bases at Citi Field tomorrow following the afternoon game against the Royals with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under, presented by Banana Boat. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Around the Majors, presented by Kia. Well, he struck out 13 his previous start. Jose Fernandez struck out 14. First pitcher to have back-to-back 13-plus strikeout games since Randy Johnson 9 years ago. Brian McCann hit a home run. So did Chris Johnson as the Braves won their 8th in a row, beat the Phillies. And Doug Fister went 8 innings, allowed 7 hits, and a 2-1 win. The Tigers win their 6th straight over the White Sox. Mets and Royals. First pitch coming up from Citi Field. Johnson near the wall. It's out of here! Eric Young wins the game with his first home run as a New York Met. A walk-off 2-run homer in the bottom of the 11th, and the Mets win it 4-2. Seems like mere hours ago that Eric Young ended the night here at Citi Field, and right back at it this afternoon. Your Hyundai starting lineup for the Kansas City Royals. Well, surprise, surprise, Ned Yost decided after watching his offense manage just 6 hits last night that he needed his big bat Billy Butler in the lineup, and so he will shoehorn him in and move Eric Hosmer to right field for the first time this year.
And there's Hefner's numbers on the year, trying to right the ship. Had a strong finish in the first half. Just really struggling his first 3 starts out of the gate from the All-Star break.
Lorenzo Cain leads off, the speedy center fielder, as the game begins in the rain. And Hefner misses low and inside with a fastball for ball 1. Cain came off the bench last night and participated in the Royals rally from behind. They were down 2-0 going to the 8th, but he drew a leadoff walk in the 8th and scored a run, and then drove in the tying run with a sac fly in the 9th. And Hefner gets his first strike, 1-1. And
Wow.
Kane already complaining with Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire, about that call. Eric Hosmer on deck, and then Billy Butler for the Royals, who had a 9-game winning streak, stopped with the Mets' 11-inning win last night. Bounce toward third, a foul ball.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense. Turner, how about that at third base today? Remember, we told you in the open, that Turner would not be the everyday third baseman. It'll be Murphy, who's back over in a familiar spot at second base. Big Murph, and he's going to be moved over to third more than likely. Mike Baxter is called up. Got Josh Satin over at first base today with the left-hander Chen on the hill.
This was not supposed to be Hefner's day to start. It was supposed to be tomorrow. But the Mets have gone through a lot of issues in the last 24 hours. Bobby Parnell still unavailable out of the bullpen. Josh Edgin on the disabled list, maybe for the year. And so the Mets were shorthanded in the bullpen. Had to move Carlos Torres there last night. As Kane tries to hold, and he went around strike 3. Jim Wolf with the call, and Kane is struck out to start the afternoon.
I think the one thing I've noticed about Jeremy since the second half was prior to the All-Star break, he was pounding that fastball into lefties and righties for strikes. Since the break, he's been missing. He hasn't been missing out over the plate. He's missing in, but he hasn't been able to throw it for a strike. That at bat he did, and set up his curveball for the strikeout.
Here's Eric Hosmer, who went 1 for 5 last night. Hosmer, as we mentioned, moved out to right field today, and it came as something of a surprise to him when he got to the ballpark today and saw the lineup card. Hosmer has played 2 games in his professional career in the outfield, and he said that while he took some fly balls in spring training this year, he has not taken any since. So it'll be something of an adventure for him, as Billy Butler is in the lineup at first base, the only place that he can play. Butler, of course, normally the designated hitter for the Royals. As Hosmer hits one slowly, Murphy slides over to get it, and quickly there are 2 out. Today's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Well, he was on a tremendous roll before the All-Star break. The last 8 starts, 3-1, 1.76. 3 starts out of the All-Star break, 0-2, 12.34. Couldn't be a bigger contrast for Hefner. He said he had never really gone through a full All-Star break before. In the minor leagues, you only get a day or 2. And he said he just lost it. He lost his release point,
Lost his rhythm,
and trying to find his way back.
and I tell you what, as I'm an everyday player, and I played 17 years, that first game back, couple games back from the 4 days off, 3 days off on our day, it took a while to get the engine back in 5th gear.
Billy Butler takes a strike. Butler appeared as a pinch hitter last night, was intentionally walked. That came in the 9th inning when the Royals tied the game. Butler's numbers are down this year. Last year, an all-star season for Butler. He had 29 home runs, drove in 107, hit .307.
Now, the Royals play in a very big park. So when you hit 29 home runs in Kansas City as a Royal, that's power.
Alex Gordon moved down to the cleanup spot for the first time this season on deck. And Butler goes after the high fastball and fouls it back, 1-2. Jeff Nelson calling the balls and strikes today. Jim Wolf working at first base. Mike Estabrook at second, and leather along Jim Joyce, the crew chief, is over at third.
Well, you'd like to have him in those night games, not the day games when you got a headache.
1-2 to Butler, and he fouls back the fastball. I just wonder whether Jim needs a lozenge after an 11-inning game last night, yelling out all those strike calls.
Well, Dutch Rennert was the loudest of my era and one of the very best umpires in the National League. And I tell you what, I was blessed to play my 16 years of my 17 in the National League.
Curveball grounded toward the hole. Turner to his left. And throws out the slow-footed Butler, and Hefner has himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the first against Bruce Chen when we come back. On the field before the game, and it's still raining. We started on time, but the consequence of a wet field is this: you may slip.
Watch the back foot. A slip coming out of the box. There's the skid mark right there.
So they've tried to eliminate the mud with some of the diamond drive before the Mets come to bat at the bottom of the first. There is the Geico Mets starting lineup, and this is the first day with David Wright on the disabled list. Josh Satin takes over in the third spot of the lineup for the first time in his career. Justin Turner getting the start at third base for today against the left-hander as the Mets face 36-year-old Bruce Chen.
Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen Bruce, and he started, as we said, the season in the pen. This is his 23rd appearance and his 4th start. He took over for Mendoza, who struggled and got the loss last night. The Coors Light Royal defense. We talked about Hosmer out there in right field. That's going to be lost in space today, possibly. And Butler at first base. They just had to get Butler back on the lineup.
Well, the instructions from the Kansas City coaching staff were Lorenzo Cain, center fielder, you catch everything.
We'll keep an eye on the defensive. I'm sure that Cain in center will always be kind of shading to right field.
You see Jeff Nelson during Billy Butler's at bat after Hosmer slipped.
Hey, it happens when it's wet. Come on.
And they got the grounds crew out between innings to take care of it.
So very interesting. Hosmer has not played in right field but twice last year, and look how shallow he's playing in right. You think he would play deeper, easier to come in on a ball, but he is playing a very shallow right field.
Well, Eric Young ended the game last night for the Mets. Leads off against Bruce Chen, and he takes a letter-high strike. Young 2 for 5 last night. The walk-off home run was his first career walk-off hit and his first home run as a Met. His dad, Eric Young Sr., had one walk-off home run in his career, so they are now even.
Like father, like son.
Hit sharply through the hole, a base hit. So Young picks up where he left off last night. And he has himself a leadoff hit.
Better right-hand hitter, a little cutter, not in enough. Nicely turned on.
So the Mets get the leadoff man on, and you know Chen is a lefty who doesn't hold runners very well, but with the wet track, it'll be interesting to see whether Young can get enough traction to steal a base.
Check out this defense, Gary. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have to mention this. This is Lagares up, who goes into right center field with power, and Hosmer playing him like a pin hitter.
Lagares 1 for 4 last night, takes a strike.
And center field came very shallow. Wow.
Well, the Royals normally are one of the better defensive clubs in baseball, but they certainly have weakened their defense by putting Butler at first and Hosmer in right. They also don't have their #1 catcher in there today, Salvador Perez. George Gutierrez, the backup, is catching today, so not quite the Gold Glove caliber unit that Ned Yost usually sends out. He's going more for offense today. Lagares at 273, and there's Chen's move to first.
It's good to see Ned Yost back managing. I know he had a rough run in Milwaukee. It left a lot of bad blood and got a second chance here.
He did awfully well his first few years in Milwaukee, but in his 6th season he lost that job 2 weeks before the Brewers went to the playoffs that year. Remember, Jerry Royster took over the job the last couple of weeks.
Good memory, Gary.
That's the 2008 when the Brewers beat the Mets out for that wild card spot in the end. They had CC Sabathia, who had come over that summer and did such an unbelievable job for them down the stretch.
You have got, let me tell you something. You should be with the CIA, looking up documents. You're like a...
No, but CIA keeps secrets. I'm sharing. Here's the 1-2, and a long fly ball to center, but Kane has plenty of room out there and makes the catch. Tagging it first is Young, but he'll stay put, and that's the first out. You can end up in trouble these days for sharing secrets.
Well, if I'm around another 10 years, and we're around together another 10 years, and you're my age, I want to see if you're just as sharp. I'm betting on you being
just as sharp. You're not 10 years older than me.
How old are you now?
I'm 55.
Oh, I'm only 5 years older.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see in 5 years.
5 years younger. So
60 is the tipping point. You know, you start slipping.
Young at first and 1 out. Josh Satin, the batter. Satin, after his very hot start, 0 for his last 10, is averaging .302 for the year. And he takes a strike from Chen.
And you can see Chen is not a hard thrower. I find it hard to believe he's throwing 82, 83, 84. But when you're a left-hander and a soft tosser, if you got a good off-speed pitch, you can get away with a whole lot.
Well, Chen is something of an anomaly because he's a soft tossing pitcher who has worked for most of his career up in the strike zone, kind of like a left-handed Chris Young. He's always been a fly ball pitcher, and when he's off by a little bit, he'll give up his share of home runs. He's kicked around to 10 different major league teams since he began his career with the Braves back in 1998. Now in his 5th year with the Royals. Grew up, born and raised in Panama. His grandparents came from China to Panama, as did many Chinese nationals, to work on the Panama Canal, and that's how his family wound up in Panama. And spending a lot of time working on Eric Young at first base. Young with 22 steals on the year, 14 of those as a Met. And Satin takes the cutter for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Satin's playing time has diminished. Mets getting a lot of right-handers lately. Of note, Ike Davis had a nice night at the plate last night.
Ike went 3 for 3 last night, and looked like he had put the Mets in position to win the game in the 9th inning with a leadoff double. But the Mets couldn't convert then, or in the 10th when they had a similar chance. But finally, Young won it for them with his 11th inning home run. 1-2 to Satin, and he pops one up in foul ground. Butler over toward the dugout, but that's out of play. Well, the giveaway today, 1973 playing cards.
Cool.
In honor of the 40th anniversary of those unlikely National League champions, a Met team that was in last place on August 30th and rallied to win the National League East, and then upset the Reds in the League Championship Series and took the A's to the 7th game before succumbing.
Oh, there you go. Big Matlack.
1-2 taken inside.
John Matlock had a very hard slider, but it was on the flat side, and he threw hard too. Seaver, that pitcher Seaver, he's ready to drop and drive, and Tug really getting down low. All those Met pitchers, and Kuzman, they all got down low and dragged their back knee on the mound, the dirt. They always had dirt marks on their back leg, their back knee. Wasn't much respite for hitters when you came in those days and played a 3-game series against the Mets.
And Satin foul tips it. It's held by Gutierrez, and Chen has his first strikeout. 2 down.
Little cutter right down the middle, and he missed it. That's why he's angry. Go look at his expression. How did I miss that?
So after the leadoff hit by Young, he's still at first with 2 out. And now Marlon Byrd, as Keith said in the open, there's a lot more on the shoulders of Marlon Byrd now with the absence of David Wright.
Byrd can't go out of, try to do more, and it's, you know, it's tried, and you just can only do what you can do. You can't hit an 8-run home run. Just stay within yourself. Do what you're doing. Ralph Kiner, I thought, playing for all those bad Pirate teams, and what did Ralph say? He had to take his walks. You can't go out of the strike zone and try to do too much.
Bird 17 home runs, leads the team with 60 RBIs, and fouls off the fastball from Chen. 87, the hardest pitch Chen has thrown to this point, and that's about where he'll top out.
This is the 108th game for the Mets. So what they got around?
That means 2/3 complete after today.
How many left? 54. 54. 60 RBIs. Marlon's got a chance, a good shot to drive in 90. That'd be a heck of a year. 90 is good. It's back to normal now. When the steroid era, 90 became like driving in 70. 90 runs is a very productive year.
Well, especially for a team that has had trouble getting runners on base for most of the season. 2-1 to Byrd. He pulls one, foul. Enjoy someone who's got turned around.
He did get turned around. Looked like a matador.
But he saw it. Kept his eye on the ball.
Very nice. Olay. Just needed a cape.
Two and 2 to Byrd with Young at first and 2 out.
Interesting how that camera angle behind center field, Chen always fumbling with the ball from his stretch, but always doing the same thing, so he's not tipping. When he comes to the top of his stretch and gets set, watch him fumble around. Oh, not, you see that? He's always doing that.
Strikes out Byrd. Back-to-back strikeouts for Chen. And the Mets strand Young at first. After 1 at Citi Field. That was quite a team in '73. #1 mobile app for live baseball. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Mets baseball with live audio, stats, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Mets.com for details.
Oh, you know what? You got to treat your bat a little better. That's pine tar, and that's that. Manny Mota came up with that stick, that gummy stick, and I never liked it because it was kind of synthetic. I always liked the pine tar rag, sprinkle rosin on it.
Well,
and I played back
using a scissors to take.
Yes, it's just a lazy man's way to do it. You got to get the rubbing alcohol on a towel, and then you just the pine tar comes off. It's a very meticulous job, but you've got to treat your bats with kind care. There's the Manny Mota stick, and that works. It's wonderful. But I liked. Oh, that makes. Oops, not that.
Alex Gordon floats one to shallow left. Long run in for Young, diving, and did he get it? He did. Outstanding play by Eric Young, coming in to take a base hit away from Alex Gordon for the first out.
Well, the Mets continue to play good defense in the outfield, and he got there. Nice call by Jim Joyce.
Joyce waited to make sure that Young held it, was able to make the transfer.
Last night, Marlon Byrd made a similar catch, fully extended as Young, and Hefner appreciates that.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now 39-year-old Miguel Tejada, who came off the bench last night, had a huge hit for the Royals, a leadoff double in the 9th against David Artsma, and he came in to score the tying run. It's been 11 years since Tejada's MVP season with the Oakland Athletics, and he's kicked around a bunch since then, but still going. 2,400 hits, over 300 home runs in Tejada's career. And hitting at .290 this year in a part-time role after falls behind 3-0.
Hey, it's not like the old days where, you know, you're a backup player, you make around $40,000 a year. A backup player, you can make $1 million. I think I'd do a couple extra sprints and maybe even do sit-ups if that was the case when I played.
Could you handle that now? After walked 5 in his last start, a career high. Falling behind Tejada 3-0, works it back to 3-2. Mike Moustakas, the third baseman, next. There you see the career numbers on Tejada, 1,300 RBIs in his career. In a couple of years, over 130 RBIs in Oakland.
He was the all-star shortstop for the American League quite a few years.
That was during a golden era for shortstops in the American League with A-Rod and Garciaparra and Jeter.
Was Ripken still around too?
Maybe the early part of his career. One out and nobody on. 3-2 to Tejada. And he lines one the other way for a base hit. So Tejada, who had a hit in his only at bat last night, has a base hit, the first base runner for the Royals this afternoon.
Still can swing it, still got a fast bat. Fastball away, watch him go right with it. That's beautiful. 2 strikes, not trying to hit a home run. Not an overswing at all. You know, you all can chip away. Everybody wants in love with the home run today.
So 1 out and 1 on. Here's Mike Moustakas, who went 0 for 5 last night. Had been swinging the bat well since the All-Star break, but like most of the Royals, had a rough night with the bat last night.
Moustakas swings a lot like the left-hand hitting catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Miguel Montero.
Yes, got that open stance, looking for something middle in and lift swing.
Alcides Escobar, the shortstop, is on deck. I would say Moustakas is a little bigger guy than Montero.
Oh, yes. But Montero is very strong for a stocky guy.
After missing with a changeup, and it's 1-1. Does he have enough pine tar on the front of that helmet?
Well, you got to clean your helmet too, I'll tell you that.
Another change up, and it's 2-1.
Oh, come on. Hey,
all that working out and you can't open a water bottle?
Oh, come on. What's he? Sir, I think you got the wrong workout program.
Hit hard, just foul. That's almost like a gag, right?
Jeez. Are you kidding? He's still after it?
He ought to ask for help. Come on, give it to buddy.
Oh, no, what I'd love if one of the ladies did it and just popped it open. That would be a classic.
Women work out too.
Yeah, of course they do.
Here's the 2-2. And Mustak is down swinging. Good slider by Hefner to get him. 2 down. Second strikeout for Jeremy.
Best breaking ball Jeremy's thrown in this young part of this ball game. Good slider. Excellent. Fish for biting.
So 2 out. Tejada still at first, and here's Alcides Escobar. 0 for 4 last night. He's really struggled lately. 1 for his last 23. The Royals as a team, 12th in the American League in runs scored, dead last in home runs. They steal bases. They hit with runners in scoring position. They put the ball in play. They don't strike out much. But it's a team that's been very reliant on their pitching because their offense is a bit of a pop gun.
They don't walk, which is not shown on that graphic. We only have so much space on your screens at home, so we try to give you the essentials. They don't walk, and they don't strike out.
It's good of you to pare it down to a manageable number of numbers. Escobar trying to bunt for a hit. That's not a very good play with the 8-hitter on deck and 2 out. David Wright back from his MRI this morning, which revealed a strained hamstring. Mets have not given any kind of timetable as to when he might be expected back, but you know, as Keith mentioned earlier, hamstrings tend to have a pretty normal shelf life. Oh, and 2 to Escobar. It's the 3rd time in David's career he's been on the disabled list. The first time was when Matt Cain hit him in the helmet in 2009. He missed 2 weeks. And then a more serious injury in 2011 when he broke a bone in his back and he was out more than 2 months.
Well, this is the least serious. You can't belittle or the beating he had. That was serious. He got clocked.
Well, not just that, but you know, he missed 15 games. But it had an effect on him the rest of that year, and I think into the next season as well.
That was as good a beating as you're ever going to see. I mean, he really, it was, got him solid. And a hard thrower, too, in Matt Cain.
Hefner ahead 1-2, and Escobar takes low and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, they say it's a strained hamstring, and he pulled up lane. We saw, gave you the shot of it, and you know, it's a hamstring's always minimum 3 weeks. And I'm not going to sit up here and be a doctor, but it'd be crazy to bring him back before 3 weeks. I say a month.
You see Mike Baxter standing there, replaced right on the roster. And Hefner strikes out Escobar. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jeremy Hefner. And that gets Hefner through the second with help from Eric Young, leaving his feet and taking a base hit away from Alex Gordon. Young in flight. No score in the second. Mark Sanchez's thoughts on the competition, plus all the latest news as the Jets gear up for the 2013 season on Jets Nation Inside Camp, Sunday at 7 on SNY. Daniel Murphy leads off for the Mets in the home second against Bruce Chen. Murphy was moved down to the number 5 hole yesterday to try and take advantage of his hot RBI bat, but he went 0 for 5.
I like Murph's theme song when he comes to the plate. It's kind of like a little Irish lilt. Makes me want to trip the light fantastic.
Justin Turner on deck, and Murphy drives one to deep right center field. Hosmer going back near the wall. It's out of here. Daniel Murphy with his 9th home run of the year, his first against a left-hand pitcher. And the Mets take a 1-0 lead in the second. For Murph, that's his 149th at bat against the lefty this year, and the first one he's hit out of the ballpark.
Well, he stays right in here. Inner Howell right down the pipe, but he kept that shoulder in. Murph always does. Murph has a good approach against left-handers, and that was a no-doubter. That's a long way.
They hit one in Washington to the same general vicinity that went 440 feet that we said was the longest we'd ever seen him hit. This wasn't quite as far, but it was still very well struck. Justin Turner fouls off the curveball, and it's 0-2. Turner came off the bench last night, went 0 for 2, had a very frustrating at bat in the 9th inning after the Mets got a runner to third with 1 out, had a chance to win it, but struck out on 3 pitches against Aaron Crow. Turner in the lineup today at third base.
Well, Aaron Crow was most impressive last night out of the bullpen, and you know what? You face a guy you've never seen before, and he's got a curveball or slider like that. That just the element of surprise plus wicked breaking stuff. Trouble. He took care of Turner in short order, and you just don't see that happen to Turner very often.
Well, in that inning, Crow gave up a leadoff double to Mike Davis on a fastball, and after that, it was all breaking stuff the rest of the inning. And he was impressive.
He only threw 1 curveball for a strike here, and the best at bat off of Crow was ironically by the young rookie Lagares. Lagares had a very nice at bat against him. He eventually grounded out to second base, but he battled him.
And Turner gets from 0-2 to 3-2. By the way, Murphy's last home run against the lefty 361 days ago. He hit one off Wade LeBlanc last August 7th.
Always talking the hitting, talk about the shoulder staying in, not dipping. Okay, well, Murph loves this. Murph.
He likes to talk hitting. He does.
He gets too, well, you know, it's good. He's a perfectionist.
Hefner looking for some pointers. He's looking for his first hit of the year. Turner stays alive.
Hefner's going, I may have to face this guy. I better pay attention. That's what Rusty told me. Rusty told me when I came over. Never talk to anybody about where you like the ball, where you don't, because you know what? You could be traded. They're going to be traded for sure. You don't want to give the enemy any intelligence.
So you're saying that on your own team, the pitchers are the enemy? Or
well,
the potential
it
enemy?
could be your everyday players. People get traded. And I'd never thought of it before. You know, leave it to Rusty, right?
Rusty could have been a good spy.
He was a good spy.
10th pitch of the at bat to Turner, and he drives one down the left field line, and that'll settle in the corner. One hop to the wall. Turner heads for second. Gordon's got a good arm. Turner slides in, and he's out. Well, the Gold Glove, Alex Gordon, throws out Turner, trying to stretch a single into a double.
Gosh, that's a heck of a play and throw here. I just wondered, Turner get out of the box slow. It's played it right off the ball nicely. bare hand, two-hopper. I thought he got it. I thought he got in. Let's see.
Tejada gets the tag down.
He's safe.
And he looked like he missed him.
Yes, he did. It was a bad tag. Poor tag.
Mike Estabrook, the second base umpire, calls turnaround. So that's the first out of the inning. But back-to-back hits for the Mets to start this second. Now Anthony Recker, the batter.
Well, we'll take a look. It's a phantom tag. Safe. Umpire in great position right there. Estabrook. Had to be a perfect throw to get him, Gary.
Now Gordon, who began his career as a third baseman, has become a wonderful left fielder. Two-time Gold Glover. Played that ball barehanded coming off the wall. And Recker goes down on strikes. Third strikeout for Chen. 2 out of the inning. Here's Turner going home to second.
Oh, he knows it's a double. He knows for sure it's not a home run.
I think he was shocked when he looked up and came around first and saw Gordon throwing that ball in and had to try and throw it into another gear. And just a great play by Gordon.
It was a terrific play. The fact that he barehanded it too. So kudos to the left fielder, the Gold Glove left fielder.
That graphic was a little misleading. Of course, Frank White was not an outfielder. He was a tremendous second baseman for the Royals. Quintanilla takes a strike, 1-1.
I played against Frank in AAA. He was with the Omaha Royals then in the AAA American Association back in the early 70s.
Hello, welcome to Citi Field. Nice to have you here. Fly ball left field. Gordon right there. Comes on to get it. Side retired. But the Mets grab the lead. Daniel Murphy with the leadoff home run. His 9th home run of the season. Mets got off fast with a right home run last night. They do the same with a Murphy home run today. 1-0 New York as we go to the third. The only Royal to finish the season, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, 25 stolen bases.
Well,
I've got that.
I think I got it too.
I mean, it's got to be, right?
Yeah. Can't be Willie Mays Aikens. He wasn't a stolen base guy. John Mayberry was not.
It's got to be a guy who later played for the Mets. Here's George Gutierrez leading off, and he takes a strike, right?
Yep.
Gutierrez, the backup catcher, former Milwaukee Brewer, hitting 164 in 61 at bats, but 4 home runs. Especially dangerous against right-handed pitching, and he'll work a walk as well. Bruce Chen on deck, and then Lorenzo Cain. Jeremy Hefner given a 1-0 lead on the Murphy home run. A lot of kids in the ballpark today. Kids and dads, kids and moms.
That's what day games are all about. It's like a picnic. And now with the new ballpark, it's like going to the county fair. There's so many things to do.
You mean like the dunk tank and the wiffle ball field?
Everything, yes. It's like an amusement park.
A little bit high to Kataris, 2-2. And of course all the food. You know they have a new meatball stand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Competition for Keith's Grill.
That's right.
2-2 curveball. Kataris hits it out to right field, sending Bird back to the track, back at the wall. It's out of here. George Kataris ties the game with his 5th home run of the season. Breaking ball in the middle of the plate from Jeremy Hefner, and Kataris' home run ties the game.
Well, the 2 left-handed bats have done the damage thus far. And we just talked about the 4 home runs. That's now his 5th. Oh, a hanging curve. Just a lazy breaker. And Marlin runs out of room.
If only he really could fly.
And I don't think Will Chamberlain had a shot at that.
Bruce Chen's first plate appearance of the season. Lifetime 146 hitter and 123 at bats. Well, Jeremy Hefner hasn't had a hit this year, but he's also been effective at keeping opposing pitchers from getting hits. Opposition pitchers are 1 for 38 against Hefner.
Well, they should be.
Well, 1 for 38. That's extraordinary.
The pitchers can't hit.
Well, occasionally they do. And Chen promptly sends one down the line, and he's got a base hit. How about that? Make it 2 for 39.
He's not going to try for 2.
No. Well, Young was playing right on the line anyway. So Chen in his first plate appearance of the season has a hit, so he's batting 1,000.
You see the little smiles come on his face.
See, I told you 1 for 38 was extraordinary.
Now it's 2 for 39.
2 for 39.
Oh, it almost got by Eric. Aha.
You'd smile too if you were batting 1,000.
I'd smile when I was batting 300.
Here's Lorenzo Cain, who struck out leading off the game. And he hits it sharply past Turner. 3 straight hits for the Royals. Chen stops at second. And Cain with a bullet, and Turner could barely react to. And so Hefner, after sailing through the first 2 innings, finding trouble here in the 3rd.
Just a rocket just out of the reach. Turner playing in. And we've seen this Royal team. We said they don't walk. They attack early and often in the counts.
So now Eric Hosmer grounded out to Murphy his first time up. Chen, the pitcher, at second, and Cain, who can run like the wind, is at first. So Hefner finds trouble here in the 3rd, trying to turn his second half of the season around. And he gets a strike to Hosmer on the inside. Jeremy looked for a while in his last start at Miami as though things were going to go better. Didn't allow a hit the first 3 innings, and then found trouble in the 4th. His last start not nearly as abbreviated as his first 2 starts out of the All-Star break, but nonetheless not a good one for him. He was mostly bemoaning the 5 walks he gave up against the Marlins, and he'd never done that in his life anywhere. Low and inside to Hosmer with a slider, 1-2. By the way, Hefner was supposed to start tomorrow, and Wheeler was supposed to start Tuesday. So with Torres going to the bullpen last night, Hefner today, and Wheeler tomorrow. it was not a spur-of-the-moment decision during the game last night for Terry Collins to put Torres back in the bullpen. Even though they didn't announce it publicly, he had made that decision early yesterday, and he had told all the pitchers. So Hefner knew early yesterday afternoon that he was going to pitch today. Wheeler knew he was going to pitch tomorrow, so it didn't come as a shock in the middle of the game last night.
Well, I think they made the decision with the off day Monday that they could go a spin through on 5.
And once they knew Parnell wasn't available last night, that's
Correct.
when they made that call. They just didn't bother telling anybody, which was probably the proper thing to do.
So the off day is, you never like injuries, but the off day was fortuitous.
So now Wheeler was going to have 2 extra days of rest, so tomorrow he'll pitch on his regular day, as Hefner is today. Mejia and Harvey will each get an extra day of rest, pitching Tuesday and Wednesday. Pop-up, shallow center field. On comes Lagares, and he can't make the catch. It breaks off his glove, and the bases are loaded. Well, Lagares with a nice effort, but it falls in. 3 straight singles after the home run by Kataris. Hosmer with a bloop, and the bases are loaded.
Just off the tip of his glove. He's felt, maybe, I'm sure he's a little angry that he probably maybe could have dove and make the play. It's a tough play for the base runner right here. You don't want to ever get caught going back and forth.
Yeah, this is the one crimp in Lagares' defensive game that we've seen the last couple of weeks. He has tremendous range, gets great jumps on balls, but that's the 3rd time now in the last 2 weeks he's had a ball go off his glove after making a long run, and had a ball fall in, and he's not happy with that at all.
It's almost a play where maybe you can dive. Marlon Bird's coming in from right field. I wonder if he needs
sunglasses.
He needs sunglasses. The sun is starting to pop out. So there you go. That's where they belong. Nice view of the ballpark.
Murphy just went in to get sunglasses too. He brought some out for Satin and Quintanilla, so everybody getting equipped. Lagares was the only guy who had sunglasses out there.
I always wore the flip-flops even when it was overcast.
So now Hefner has a huge jam to pitch out of. Bases loaded, nobody out. Tie game in the 3rd, and Billy Butler stepping in. Butler grounded out to third base his first trip. Paints the outside corner, 0-1.
Well, they got the big bat up at the right time here.
Now this was the change that Ned Yost made today to put Butler in the lineup. Guy who's normally a DH, but he shoehorned him in to make his bat available, and now up with the bases loaded. Chases the slider, and Hefner's quickly ahead 0-2.
Well, Butler last year won the American League the DH award, outstanding DH award, that's named after Edgar Martinez, the Seattle Mariner.
Hefner ahead 0-2, and he struck him out. Had to chase 2 sliders well out of the strike zone, and that's the first out of the inning.
That is not an at bat you want to have with the bases intoxicated. That was just bad to worse to terrible. So it happens.
So Hefner gets the first out after 4 straight hits, and now Alex Gordon, who hit a flare to left field, and Eric Young made a diving catch in the 2nd inning.
I love this shot too. This angle is terrific. I love it.
Gordon hits it to deep right field. Back goes Bird to the warning track. And at the fence, he's got it. Tagging at third, Chan. He'll come in to score. Gordon came close to a grand slam, settles for a sacrifice fly, and the Royals go in front 2-1.
Well, let's see where he hit it. Fastball in. Got under it a little bit too much. So that is a huge break right there.
Well, Gordon put in the cleanup spot today for the first time this season. Trying to make like a cleanup hitter. And almost cleaned them all.
Boy, just got under it there. He got hit it. Looked like he hit it good. On the fat of the bat.
54th RBI for Gordon. So now first and third and 2 out for Miguel Tejada, who took one the other way for a base hit his first time up. Ball from Hefner, knocked down by Recker, 1-0. So Murphy gave the Mets the lead with a home run in the bottom of the second, and the Royals responding right away to put up 2 here in the third.
Well, I'll tell you,
looking for more.
Bases loaded, nobody out. If Hefner can get out of this with 2 runs, that's a win-win. This game could have been busted wide open. He got a big, tough out here. The veteran bat at Tejada.
Slider for a strike, 1-1. The thing about Tejada during his heyday, we talked about how many hits he has, and he won an MVP. He had 6 seasons in which he played 162 games. That's hard to do.
Yep.
And he lines one the other way again for a base hit. That'll bring home a run as Kane is in to score. Hosmer going first to third. Tejada with his second hit of the day. Drives in a run to make it 3-1 Kansas City.
Well, using all the field, no intention of hitting a home run here. Fastball, inner half, inside outing. Nice short stroke. That's just good hitting. Those 2 out RBIs are killers.
Well, the big inning creeping up on Hefner again. And that 3-run 4th inning in Miami in his last start. Now a 3-run 3rd inning. Mike Moustakas, the 8th man up in the inning. Struck out his first time and takes a changeup for a strike.
Now this ball's inner half, folks. So look at him inside out. He bring his hands in a little bit to his body. Particularly his lead arm. It would be his right arm, and just staying level inside outing that ball to right field.
Well, the Royals have managed only 6 hits all last night, have 6 hits already this afternoon. Moustakas goes down swinging, and that ends the inning. 5 strikeouts for Hefner, but the Royals put up a 3 spot in the third and go up 3-1. The 3-1 lead as Jeremy Hefner had another rough inning, and that's been the norm for Hefner since the All-Star break. Now he'll get a turn at bat.
Well, it was a matter of a fraction of an inch of really having a horrific inning with the grand slam, a potential grand slam that was caught by Bird in right field, the sacrifice fly from Alex Gordon. That close to being a grand slam.
Hefner 0 for 30 to start the season. The worst 0 for any Met pitcher was Randy Tate, who in 1975 had an 0 for 41 stretch.
Don't remember him. That was my rookie season. I got sent down that year. So
strike 3 called and make it 0 for 31 for Hefner. 4 strikeouts for Bruce Chen. 1 out and nobody on. Eric Young coming up. Let's check in with Eamon McEnany, who's filling in for Kevin Burkhardt. Eamon?
Well, Gary, as you pointed out throughout the weekend, Bruce Chen's biggest outing as a New York Met during his career here during 2001 and 2002 was in one of the most memorable Met regular season games in franchise history when he started the first game back after the attacks on September 11th. And I had a chance earlier today to discuss his memories of that night. And obviously, he said very emotional. He said, you know, the Met team was so entrenched in the community during the week and a half after those attacks that they knew it was their responsibility to go back to work, go back to routine, to help the area go back to work and go back to their routine. So I asked him how hard it was for him to get into a routine that night when obviously it wasn't just any other regular season game. And he said that was the toughest part because they never really knew when they were going to start. If you remember the pregame ceremonies that night, so emotional with Liza Minnelli, Diana Ross, and the first responders being honored. But he said he was able to settle down and treat it like just another game, and he did pitch well, keeping the Mets in that game. And I asked him about obviously the big moment when Mike Piazza hit the home run. He said he was able to, he'd iced his arm but made it back into the dugout, and he'll always remember that that was the moment after the Mets had been in the community and, you know, around New York at that time. No one really knew, is it okay to laugh, is it okay to smile, you know, going back to normal. And he said after Mike Piazza hit that home run and watching his teammates and seeing the fans in the stadium, Gary said the one thing he'll always remember is that he felt for the first time in about 2 weeks New Yorkers felt it was okay to smile and enjoy the moment, and that's what he'll always take from that night at Shea Stadium against the Braves.
September 21st, 2001. The day every Met fan will remember. And you know, Chen pitched wonderfully that night. He went 7 innings. He didn't allow an earned run. The opposing starter for the Braves that night was a New Yorker, Jason Marquis. And the pitcher who gave up the home run to Piazza in the 8th inning, also a New Yorker, Steve Karsek. Young pops one up, and the shortstop Escobar is there. One away.
You know,
2 away.
Just one of many big hits and big home runs that Mike Piazza hit in his career here as a Met. And Mike is going to be honored later in the year.
Last day of the season, he'll be inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame, and rightfully so.
Oh, no fooling. No brainer.
You ready to welcome him to your club?
Sure.
You're a Mets Hall of Famer.
With pleasure.
Curveball in for a strike to Juan Lagares. He'll fly to center his first time up. Another curveball, and fouls this one away. Bruce Chen was picked up during that 2001 season from the Phillies. The Mets traded 2 guys who were instrumental in them getting to the World Series the year before, Dennis Cook and Turk Wendell, to Philadelphia, and got Chen, who made 11 starts that year for the Mets, went 3-2. He made 1 appearance the next year in 2002 and then was traded the first week of the season to Montreal. The Mets got back a relief pitcher that they thought was going to really help them out, Scott Strickland, a little hard throwing right-hander.
Yes.
And he was hurt virtually through his entire Met tenure and never really got off the ground. And that was the coming and going of Bruce Chen as a Met. Now a swing and a miss. It gets away. Contreras runs it down. Lagares neglected to run, and that's an out at first base. Well, Lagares, for some reason, I don't know if he thought he foul tipped it.
Collins coming out.
But he is a strikeout victim, and Terry Collins is going to come out and argue. We go to the fourth, 3-1 Kansas City. Fourth inning, Alcides Escobar leads off for Kansas City against Jeremy Hefner, who tries to bounce back after a rough third inning. Escobar struck out his first time up, one of 5 strikeouts for Hefner over the first 3 innings, but the Royals with 3 runs and 6 hits against Jeremy, all 3 of the runs and 5 of the hits coming in the third. George Gutierrez, who homered to get this game tied in the last inning, is on deck, and then the pitcher Chen against Hefner, who threw 26 pitches in that third inning. Well, we started this game in the rain. Now playing in the sunshine. 2-2 to Escobar.
Well, I'm sure they're still probably getting it out on the eastern Long Island right now.
So you're saying your plants are being watered?
Well, it could have skirted north, Gare, but it was a big blob moved through here quick.
Escobar pops it up behind second. Murphy out, and Quintanilla peels off at the last moment to avoid a collision. 1 out. There's your Mets upcoming schedule, presented by Wise Snacks. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 and Sports Radio 101.9 FM WFAN. Final game of the series tomorrow. Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Mets. Then after an off day Monday, the Rockies come in. Henry Mejia goes Monday night. Matt Harvey Tuesday night. Dylan G Thursday afternoon before the Mets begin their 11-game road trip in Arizona. They go Arizona, LA, San Diego, and then a makeup game in Minnesota on the way home. Just
as we
kicks.
Go, we will go also.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know. That's a nice trip, really. Phoenix is a lovely town. LA is fun. Dodger Stadium. San Diego is spectacular.
Well, it'll be nice to see Target Field in Minnesota when it's not snowing.
I can do without. I'm sure the players can too. That just it cuts into that off day on the way back. Remember, you're 10 days on the West Coast, on West Coast time, Pacific time, And it's always tough coming back home, even when you have that off day after the travel date.
Gutierrez hits this one out to left field. And Eric Young squeezes it, 2 out. Well, think of it this way, though. You have those 10 days in the Pacific time zone. This way you get a mid-course adjustment. You go to Central Time in Minnesota, kind of gives you a day to recoup the 2 hours, and then the next day you come home and you get that 3rd hour rather than doing it all at once.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm just glad I'm sitting on my fanny, not having to, announcing these games, having to go out and play. Now they got that off day is shot to play and make up snow out in Minneapolis, and then they got the Braves coming in for a big 3-game series after that. The Bravos with no rest. The Royals are in a horrific midst of a bunch of games right now. Strike 3.
6 strikeouts for Hefner. He has a 1-2-3 inning in the 4th. Josh Satin will lead off in the bottom of the 4th with the Mets down 3-1.
Sorry to take over play-by-play.
Local Youth Baseball League win the SNY Play Ball Award presented by New York Community Bank. Vote for one of the 3 finalists that you think deserves the $5,000 grant the most. Visit Facebook and like SNY today. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. The Mets will have 3, 4, and 5 in their batting order coming up against Bruce Chen. This is Chen's 4th start since coming out of the long relief role and into the rotation, and so far so good. His 3 starts before this one, 1-0 with a 1.50 ERA and a 115 batting average against. So Chen has really done a terrific job taking over that rotation spot for the Royals, as really has that entire Kansas City team. In fact, they are now #1 in the American League in staff ERA.
Well, we saw the bullpen last night, even though it got a loss, and their weak link, Mendoza, got the loss. But Mendoza has good stuff too. He struggled this year. But those guys that came in yesterday, Herrera, Coleman, and Crow, my goodness, they were impressive.
We didn't even see their closer, Greg Holland, who can also really bring it. Josh Satin struck out his first time up, his first ever game as a Major League #3 hitter. Satin now 0 for his last 11, has seen its batting average dip below 300. Got off to that incredible start when the Mets were facing a spate of left-handed pitching. He's cooled down as his playing time has diminished. We'll see if he can pick it back up again now that he'll probably be playing some more with David Wright out of the lineup. How the Mets are going to configure things in David's absence is still an open question. Terry Collins has thrown out some ideas, but I think it's going to be a process they work on over the next few days. But one of Terry's thoughts was moving Daniel Murphy to third base, bringing Eric Young in to play second base, and perhaps that means an opening for Lucas Duda to return and go back to left field.
Well, I think if Duda returns, and then Murph, I think, would hit third, then you'd hit Bird fourth, and then Duda fifth.
I think that, you know, against right-hand pitching, I think Murphy certainly makes the most sense as the number 3 hitter.
Well, that's what he proclaimed when he went to college, to his college coach.
What's your position? Number 3 hitter?
I'm your number 3 hitter.
I think it's going to be interesting to watch over the next week or so and see how it all develops, and you know, see whether Terry puts in a plan and stays with it, or whether he tinkers around and moves people around on a daily basis to try and figure out what the best combination is.
I think he's going to do some tinkering, to be honest with you. Some serious tinkering, playing with the hot hand.
3-2 to Satin, and he drives one into left field for a base hit. So Josh snaps that 0 for 11 skid, and the Mets get their leadoff man on for the 3rd time in 4 innings against Bruce Chen.
Well, Satin stays a very compact swing. Turns on this fastball, and it's been tough. Josh was very hot. Playing time diminished. You sit there, you get antsy. It's not an easy job. So good to see him break that 0 for 11.
Now Marlon Byrd, who struck out his first time up. Byrd was the only hitter in the Mets lineup today who had ever faced Chen before. And Marlon is now 3 for 7 against this left-hander. The last time that Chen pitched against the Mets was 2003. The last time he started against the Mets was 2001 for the Phillies before the Mets traded for him. So it's been a long time. In fact, none of the 35 players who played in a game with Chen as a Met have played a big league game since 2010. So he's outlasted everybody he played with as a Met. The last major leaguer who played with Chen as a Met was Jay Payton, whose last year was 2010. So he's been a survivor.
Originally came up with the Braves.
Made his debut in 1998 with Atlanta. And that 85-mile-an-hour fastball is still causing swings and misses.
Nope. You saw Marlon. Just watch Marlon's reaction in this swing and miss. He just kind of goes, Looking at his bat if it got a hole in it or something.
I mean, again, it's not like he sinks it. It's not like he's a ground ball pitcher. That's driven to left. Gordon going back, gets there and reels it in easily. And back to first base goes Satin. Every out has been either a strikeout or in the air. And that's Chen's game. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Daniel Murphy, who slugged a home run well over the 390 mark in right center his first time up, his 9th home run of the year, and his first against a left-hand pitcher. Murphy snapped an 0 for 10 with that home run. You see his numbers against lefties and righties. He's always been able to hit lefties. It's this one in the air to left, and Gordon eases over toward the line. And there are 2 out. And back to first Satin. So 2 out, and now Justin Turner who had a long turn at bat against Chen in the second inning. Drove one to left field that short hopped the wall. Thought for sure he had a double, but Gordon made a terrific play off the wall and threw him out at second base.
He's chewing that gum.
Anthony Recker would be next. Bruce Chen has 75 wins in his major league career, which is the second most of any pitcher born in Panama. He's 3 off the lead, which is held by Mariano Rivera. He's also second in strikeouts all time by a Panamanian pitcher to Rivera.
I'm trying to think, was Rennie Stennett from Panama? The Pirates had one player from Panama. I just can't recall which one it was. During those Lumber Company years.
Well, the Mets have had a couple of players from Panama recently. Ruben Tejada, Manny Acosta, both from Panama. Satin at first with 2 down. 2-2 to Turner, who had a 10-pitch at bat his first time up. And he goes down swinging. That's strikeout number 6 for Chen. That's a new season high for Chen, and he's got himself a 3-1 lead after 4 at Citi Field.
Boy, I think it's going to start getting better around here. And I had a long conversation with a close friend of mine. We were talking about confidence and believing and momentum and things like this. So I came to the ballpark that day all fired up. I was in extremely good mood. And I was out here in the outfield during batting practice hollering to the different players on the club and to the fans that you got to believe, you know, you got to believe.
Now, 40 years ago, the Mets were stumbling along in August, and after M. Donald Grant, the Mets chairman of the board, told the team to play better, Tug kind of mockingly took Grant's words, turned it into a rallying cry, you got to believe, and it became the mantra for that 1973 unlikely National League champion.
Well, Tug was a winner and infectious personality. One of the, you got to have those characters, and Tug was. I think Tug was what Roger McDowell was on our 80s team.
Really?
That kind of easygoing, funny guy that kept everybody loosey-goosey. And Tug went on to Philadelphia and won too. So Tug's a winner. God rest his soul.
Lorenzo Cain takes a big rip. Well, Tug was kind of emblematic of that team in '73, and that over the first 5 months of the season he had a really bad year. But September, you couldn't touch him.
That's when it counted.
And October too.
They came within a game of upending the mighty A's.
They came within a Yogi Berra managerial decision of winning that World Series. Opting to go with his two aces on short rest, Seaver and Matlack, rather than pitching George Stone in Game 6 and using a well-rested Seaver in Game 7 if necessary.
George Stone went 14-3 or 12-3 that year. He had, they were up 3 games to 2. But you can look at also, Trader Jack with the Marlins when they beat the Yankees, and he went. There's the official yearbook. But going with his ace on 3 days rest.
Josh Beckett.
Yep.
2003.
And that paid off. I remember Seaver pitched that Game 6. Reggie Jackson got the big double in right center field, and on the 7th inning that beat Seaver, Mr. October.
Number 9 in your Oakland A's.
Oh, number 9, right?
Program. Not any of that 44 stuff. Here's the 2-2 inside to Cain, full count. Now Game 7, Matlack got touched for 4 runs in that 3rd inning.
That was it.
Reggie had the home run, and Kenny Holtzman won Game 7 as Cain gets under 1 to left, playable for Young.
Holtzman is one of your starters with Catfish Hunter. Of course, the Hall of Famer Catfish Holtzman was wicked left-hander.
Odom.
Johnny Blue Moon Odom. It hurt his arm. He was a great pitcher.
Darryl Knowles got the save. Raleigh Fingers was their primetime reliever, but Knowles became the first pitcher ever to pitch in all 7 games in a World Series.
They had a great bullpen. They had Sal Bando at 3rd, Bert Campaneris at short, Dick Green at 2nd. Forget who played first.
Hosmer bounces one.
Dave Duncan and Gene Tennis were the catchers. Reggie in right, of course. I think Angel Manuel played center field. I could be wrong. Maybe Billy North. I don't think it was Billy North. Joe Rudy, of course, in left field.
Yeah, Billy North was in center.
Was it Billy North?
1-1 to Hosmer. With a pop fly signal that went off Lagares' glove for a base hit in the 3rd. Billy Butler on deck.
Trying to think who was that rotation. It was Catfish, Holtzman. Oh shoot! How can I forget? Vida Blue.
That was his 2nd season.
Jeez.
3rd season came in 7.
Boy, what was this? A heck of a ball club.
But the Mets took him to the limit. That was a team that won 3 straight World Series. They beat the Reds in '72. They beat the Dodgers in '74. Line past Hefner and into center field. A base hit for Hosmer, his 2nd of the day. And the 7th hit against Hefner. We'll have to get out of the way of this one.
Was the bullet. Let go with one hand.
Gets back at you quickly. So 1 out and 1 on in the 5th. And now Billy Butler, who has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. Came up with the bases loaded and nobody out in the 3rd and chased a couple of sliders well out of the strike zone. We'll see if Hefner goes back to that. Starts him off with a fastball for a strike. Well, there are your city probables for the final game of this series tomorrow. Zach Wheeler, coming off a fine performance his last time out in Miami, will go up against Irvin Santana. lot of speculation that Santana was on the trading block coming up to the deadline, but with the Royals now sort of back in the race and Santana pitching well, they declined to part with him. Double play ball. Quintanilla with the flip. Murphy with the turn. 6-4-3 double play. Side retired. Halfway through, 3-1 Kansas City. Triangle.
Look at the airplane coming in for a landing.
Oh, we're above the airplane.
That's right.
Wow. Some crowded airspace.
We take precedent.
This is from earlier today because that's an empty Citi Field.
That's
More fans
true.
in the ballpark now.
That's right.
Anthony Recker bats at the bottom of the 5th inning. Recker struck out his first time up. Recker's got 5 home runs this year, 4 of them against left-handed pitching in just 41 at bats. And he takes high from Bruce Chen, 1-0. So Chen continuing to excel in the Royals starting rotation. His 4th start. He's given up just a run on 4 hits today, looking to go 5-0 on the season. Chen was a regular in the Royals rotation last year, moved to the bullpen this spring, and Ned Yost said, I have never had a player who has been more receptive to doing whatever it takes for the team to win than Bruce Chen. So he went to the bullpen, got the job done there as a long man, and when needed in the rotation, he slid right back in and has been doing a great job.
Well, he went 11-14 last year with 34 starts with an ERA over 5. His best year was back in 2005 with Baltimore, where he went 13-10.
Recker bloops one on the right side, and Butler's got it. One away. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Now Omar Quintanilla, who flied to left his first time up. Keith, when you get in a situation where your team loses a star player, Sometimes it can provide a little inspiration. Last night, the Mets able to rally and win after David got hurt. But then the day dawns the next day. The reality sets in that you've lost your best, your most important player, your leader. Does it have a bit of a psychological impact on you going forward, at least for the short term?
It's certainly demoralizing, and I think we talked about it in the open, more so for this team, because David is far more critical for this ball club, towards this ball club's success. And yes, it is a stunning blow, but then you realize, you know, you can't stop the season. The sun's going to rise in the morning, and it's going to set that night, and it's going to do it again the next day, and there's going to be teams coming in, and you got to play. So you kind of move on from it. But initially, yes, it's a stunning blow.
I mean, what really strikes is that the last time Wright went to the disabled list 2 years ago, and he missed more than 2 months. The Mets went 30-28 while he was out. That was that first half of the 2011 season when they played well. As Quintanilla grounds one to Tejada, and that's the second out. But you know, they had Carlos Beltran in the lineup then before they traded him away, and it just strikes me that this time there's nobody of that kind of stature to pick up the slack.
Well, there was more talent on that team also to pick up the slack. When you've got a solid team, you've got players that are going to pick it up. You know, this team can ill afford to lose David. You know, it brings to mind, Gary, when I first got hurt, the first year I got hurt, when I pulled my hamstring, I think it was '88. The team did not play well, and I had Magadan pick me up. Magadan played first base and did a very good job, but the team did not play well when I was gone. The second time I got hurt, the next year when I was out far longer, Magadan was there, played great, and the team responded without me and played well. We wound up losing the pennant that year and late in the season in September in '89. So, and of course, then you're talking about having Darryl out there, and it was Mookie still was there, and Lenny was a good. You know, it was a good team.
Right, you had star players to pick up the slack. Hefner is caught on strikes for the 7th strikeout for Bruce Chen. Well, Chen keeps on firing. He's got a 3-1 lead after 5.
Kansas City leading the Mets 3-1, and with David Wright going to the disabled list, the Mets called back Queens native Mike Baxter to the big club. Mike was with Las Vegas, but it certainly has already been an eventful month of July for Mike and his wife Diana, as on July 1st, Diana gave birth to the couple's first son, Will. Mike had a chance to go to be in the hospital for the birth of his son as he left the Las Vegas club, the 51s, and then in the All-Star break, he also had a chance to return to New York to spend some time with his newborn, and then they made the trip to Nashville as Las Vegas was in Tennessee for a stint here this week, and it kind of worked out great for him, other than the fact, as he admits, that it is kind of bittersweet that he gets called back to the Mets to take David Wright's space. But he felt that, that he had a chance to spend some time with his son and his wife as they were in Tennessee, and he even got some bonus night in Tennessee with his family as he got to spend the night there before hopping on a 6 a.m. flight to LaGuardia this morning. As for baseball related, he thought the stint with Las Vegas guys was very helpful because he got to play every day, got those at-bats, and Keith, he mentioned he really got a chance to work on his swing and shortening up, which what he was working on here before he got sent down on June 10th as Gordon grounds out to Murph at second there for the first out of the inning. But he thinks he's ready now to handle that role, that even though he was playing every day, he's now more ready for that role of a spot starter and a pinch hitter and a defensive replacement now with the Mets getting that second chance here this season. Even though, as he admits, that Gary, I think that was the overwhelming theme in the clubhouse earlier today, that bittersweet feeling that it's great that he's back with the big club, just wish it wasn't at the expense of David Wright.
Oh, when Baxter first went down to Las Vegas, he really struggled. He was hitting just over 200, and with the flying back and forth for the birth of his son. The last month has really been a lot better for Mike, playing a lot of left field, and of course it was left field where he made that spectacular catch during Santana's no-hitter last year.
Well, Mike was having a terrific season.
Oh, great diving stop by Turner, but he can't get it cleanly out of the glove. And Tejada has his third hit of the game.
Well, nice play by Turner here. Ball down, off the line, good range to his right. Just couldn't get the handle.
Well, he took a double away from Tejada with the stop. But Miguel Tejada now 3 for 3 despite that fine dive by Turner. And the Royals have their 8th hit off Jeremy Hefner. I was talking with Mike, and we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that some in the Mets organization feel as though Baxter has lost some upper body strength after the injury last year. He had that collarbone chest issue, and it cost that they felt that it cost him some of his workout regimen. I asked Mike about that today, and he said he doesn't think that's the case. He thinks that it certainly hurt him initially late last year when he first came back, but that he was able to do his normal workout regimen in the offseason, that he was at normal strength this year, that his timing was just a little bit off and he wasn't swinging the bat the way he wanted.
It doesn't take you long when you're an athlete. If you skip a month or 2 months of workout in the weight room, the athletes, your muscles are going to have good muscle memory. They're going to bounce back quickly. So I don't buy that. What possibly could have happened, Gary, is that was a very violent injury, obviously, the clavicle, but also he jammed his shoulder. And I think there maybe have been some damage to the shoulder too. And then you come back and you unconsciously favor getting bad habits.
Right.
His swing got long where it was short and compact before. It got very long, so maybe that had some effect. So getting it down in AAA, playing every day, working on getting that compact stroke back. And we'll see when he gets up to the plate and gets some playing time. He's going to play.
2-2 to Moustakas, and he hits it down the right field line. Bird over for a look, but that's in the crowd. One thing bringing Baxter back here does, the Mets, after going to the 6-man rotation, had a 4-man bench that most days was all right-handed, and now Terry Collins has a regular left-handed bat on that bench, which is important. Today he has 2 lefties on the bench, with Ike Davis sitting against the left-hand starter. After has struck out Moustakas twice already today, now over 100 pitches, the Mets bullpen is up. And the changeup fouled off.
Yeah, I know that there's so much importance on working out today and in the weight room and all that. I'll just tell you, I've got a trainer. I've been with a trainer when I got overweight and before I lost the 30 pounds. And I see a trainer now for the last 3 years. And guess what? I hadn't worked out and lifted in 10 years. And I'm 57 years old when I started working out again. And it took around 6 weeks that my muscles came back. But from muscle memory. So I don't buy it when you got a professional athlete out there that's in his 20s or early 30s. If I'm at 57 and my muscles came back after a decade layoff, the athlete's certainly muscles are going to bounce back. So end of my statement.
Thank you, sir. We'll let you know if we
rest my case.
We'll let you know if we need to redirect.
I might not have made the big leagues. They'd have had to drag me into that weight room. Let me tell you. I'd have had some minor league coach tell me what a bad egg I was.
Gonzalez Herman and Pedro Feliciano up in the bullpen. Feliciano had an emotional return to action last night. Weak ground ball. Quintanilla charges, flip to Murphy. They turn to first, not in time. But Quintanilla charging to try and get that quick flip and hope for a double play, but ball just hit too slowly. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple standing by for a game break presented by your local Tri-Honda dealers. Shuck said afterward, it might not have been the most elegant thing,
but it worked.
But it worked. Wound up amongst the fans. Alcides Escobar is 0 for 2, struck out and popped up. After at 105 pitches, his career high pitch count came in his last start against the Marlins on Monday through 111 in 5 1/3 in that game. So he's in the same neighborhood again today. Pitching on regular rest. And the one bad inning in the 3rd, but he's recovered nicely since then. 2 out and a runner at first. Escobar trying to lay down a bunt. That's the 2nd time in this game with 2 out and a runner at first that he's tried to bunt for a hit.
Well, he's not hitting. He's a big OUT.
But that's not a particularly team-oriented play, is it?
Well, it gets Gutierrez up and puts the runner in scoring position. I guess if you're in a slump like he is, and he doesn't look good at the plate. So it does further the inning and potential another run to drive in, another runner in scoring position.
Of course, that's only if you're successful.
You certainly don't want your middle, your 3, 4, and 5 hitters doing that, or 6 hitters. This is not really a great lineup. This Royal lineup. This is the 2nd game we've seen him play, and it's not exactly a barn burner.
Well, they are 12th in the American League in runs scored. Under 4 runs per game. Well, the Tigers keep on winning. They won their 6th in a row last night, 10 of 11. So despite that 9-game winning streak for Kansas City that was snapped last night, they find themselves 7.5 in arrears.
Well, the Tigers picked up some relief pitching, correct, at the break.
They got Jose Veras from the Astros. Two and 2 to Escobar with Moustakas at first and 2 down. And he hits it sharply right at Murphy, and that retires the side. Murphy on the backhand able to snag the liner by Escobar. 1973. It was a very good year for Gossi. That guy Only Royal is to finish with 30, 125, and we assume it's Carlos Beltran.
Yes. And we would be right.
Well, let's wait.
Oh!
It's not. See, we're not as right as you think we are. Bo Jackson, and you know it's easy for this generation to forget just what Bo was and what he could have been had he concentrated on baseball full time. Maybe the best athlete ever to play the game. But he only played a half dozen years before his hip injury prevented him from going any farther. But he was a phenomenon.
When he played at Auburn football, the word on him was that he was soft.
Soft?
Yes. And then he went to the Oakland Raiders and he just destroyed linebackers.
I mean, he could hit with great power. He was maybe the fastest player in the game. He would climb walls in the outfield. He had a cannon arm. As Young flies out to center field for the first out.
And he got hurt on, I believe, a Monday Night Football game. On a long run, I believe, and he just pulled up lame, and that was it.
And in 1989, when he had that enormous season for the Royals, when he hit the home run leading off the All-Star game against Rick Russell, a ball that went about 460 feet. That fall, after the baseball season was over, he went to play for the Raiders, and in 11 games rushed for 950 yards.
Yes. And you'll never. Who was the big linebacker that he ran over from Oklahoma?
Oh, Brian Bosworth.
Brian Bosworth. And that sweep on the left side, and Bosworth came in. He ran him over like he was a Tonka toy. Oh.
Juan Lagares is 0 for 2 today, and he pops one up. Gutierrez, the catcher, should have room. And that's the second out. So Keith and I were just musing about the food at the ballpark earlier. We mentioned the new Meatball Hero place, which I believe is located behind section 139, and they heard us mentioning it, and so the Meatball Heroes arrived in the booth.
Normally, folks, I know this is a very large bite, but I'm hungry.
You know, it's great that you can handle that large bite, because for some people it would have been a little overwhelming. It might have been dribbling out the side of your mouth. I'm very impressed.
It's a very good sandwich.
You have skills beyond what I ever imagined. So give me a little critique.
Oh, it's wonderful. The cheese on top. Oh, I always love meatball sandwiches.
It's like there's some herbs.
There is some sort of. It looks good.
So
tastes good.
The question is, and this is why I originally raised it, can it give Keith's Grill a run for its money? Or are we talking about two completely different animals?
Two completely different animals, and I accept all comers.
Or the delicacies available at Citi Field.
All right, the Mets need some runs here, don't they?
Bruce Chen has been dealing. Gets the curveball over for a strike to Satin. It's 2-2.
Oh, cotton candy.
The bane of Keith's existence. Everybody loves cotton candy but Keith.
Nathan's. They're all over the place. Everybody.
Satin down on strikes. Chen's retired 9 in a row. 8 strikeouts for Bruce Chen, 1 shy of his career high. 3-1 Kansas City after 6. Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Love that slow cam.
Is that your toy truck?
Well, I gave up my toys a long time ago.
Traded them in for a doll?
For a microphone.
Yeah, there you go. Gonzalez Herman will pitch the 7th inning for the Mets after Jeremy Hefner went the first 6.
And he's done a spectacular job. Big changeup guy, and he's first time through the league, and they have not figured him out. Gonzalez has been outstanding, showing a lot of poise for a young man.
Pitched 2 scoreless innings in his last outing on Thursday afternoon against the Marlins. Well, Jeremy Hefner had the one bad inning in the 3rd when he allowed 3 runs and 5 hits, but he winds up with a quality start. 6 innings, 3 runs, 8 hits. Didn't walk a batter today after walking 5 in his last start, and he struck out 6. George Gutierrez, who delivered the home run against Hefner that tied the game in the 3rd inning, leads off for the Royals in the 7th.
Just the one blemish, that 3rd inning.
Bruce Chen is out on deck, but the Royals will keep the bullpen busy. Luke Hochevar is up. It was interesting watching Ned Yost use his bullpen yesterday because he bypassed a couple of guys who you thought might have gotten in the game and then went to Luis Mendoza, who's his long man. It turns out Hochevar wasn't available because he had thrown 28 pitches the day before, and his lone lefty in that bullpen, Tim Collins, was not even here. He was visiting his sick grandfather. Collins back today, Hochevar available today. Yost has his full bullpen complement. 3-1 to Gutierrez.
You know, I remember you and Ronnie talking about maternity leave today, and Ronnie recalls how you weren't allowed maternity leave. I know that I went home for my first child's birth.
I know you mean paternity leave.
Paternity, gee, excuse me. Thank you, Gary.
It's okay.
But here for. I don't know. I just think it has to be immediate family only. I mean, I know grandparents are immediate family.
Good changeup by Herman to strike out Gutierrez, 1 away.
So Herman just continues to impress. He throws strikes. Now, I like his arm, and you look at that sinking change.
Well, Chen was out on deck, but he's going to be called back, and David Lowe, who started last night in right field, will be the pinch hitter. Lowe went 1 for 3 last night. Rookie right fielder hitting over 300, so another terrific start for Bruce Chen. That's 4 starts now, and he hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any of them. Today just a run on 4 hits in 6 innings and 8 strikeouts, just 1 shy of his career high. So Chen with a successful return to Flushing, and now Lowe, the pinch hitter for him. And Herman misses with a fastball, 1-0. So both starters went 6. Neither one walked a batter. Lorenzo Cain making some friends outside the on-deck circle. And Lowe strokes 1 to center and stays up for Lagares. 2 out.
All right, we were talking about the 73 A's. I just got texted by Sal Marciano, the NBC former sportscaster here in New York. He said Gene Tennis and Mike Hegan split first base for the 73 A's. Rico Carty was their DH. I did not know that. I don't remember that.
Of course, they didn't use the DH in the World Series back in '73.
Dal Maxville was Bert Campaneris' backup at short. Thanks, Sal.
Lorenzo Cain is 1 for 3 today.
I had dinner with Sal up and out in Sag Harbor the week I was off last week when you guys were on the road. Over Rod Gilbert's house.
Really?
Yes.
Number 7.
Rod and Judy Gilbert had a little small barbecue. Small group together. Had a good time.
One-two from Herman, and Kane pops it up. Satin comes in from first to make the call, and that retires the side. So Herman comes in and puts together a 1-2-3 inning. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. Mets down 3-1. Second baseman L.J. Mazzilli. Find out how he's trying to make his own mark in the Mets organization on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, tomorrow after the postgame, only on SNY. Defensive changes for the Royals. Eric Hosmer moves from right field back to his normal position at first. Jerron Dyson comes in to play center. Lorenzo Cain moves from center to right. And the new pitcher for Kansas City is Luke Hochevar, former #1 pick for the Royals back in 06.
Well, he's one of 2 pitchers we did not see, 3 pitchers we did not see yesterday. We were so impressed with the bullpen. Look at those numbers. Wow.
Well, Hochevar struggled along for 5 years as a starting pitcher with Kansas City. Never really hit his stride. They moved him to the bullpen this year, and the results have been spectacular. Marlon Byrd leads off for the Mets in the home 7th. Pulls one over the bag. Just foul. And Marlon almost had himself a double to start the inning. But Jim Joyce there to call it foul. And Hochevar will try again.
And it is.
Daniel Murphy, who had a home run for the Mets' only run today, is on deck. And then Justin Turner in the home 7th. Hochevar's 36th appearance. 43 innings, only 24 hits allowed, only 12 walks and 43 strikeouts. His whip is .837. That is spectacular. Now 29 years old, out of the University of Tennessee. Bird flicks one out to right. On comes Cain, and that's the first down of the inning. So 1 out. Here's Daniel Murphy. who slugged a home run in the second inning, his 9th of the year. That was all Bruce Chen gave up in his 6 innings of work. Chen went 6, allowed a run on 4 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Retired the last 9 to face him. And now Hoshaver working in the 7th. Well, the Mets have scored 5 runs in this series, and they've all come on 3 home runs. A 2-run homer for David Wright in the 1st inning last night. A 2-run homer for Eric Young in the 11th inning last night. And then Murphy's solo homer today. 1-1 to Murph.
I always like that Royals emblem on the shoulder.
The crown.
Yeah, it's neat.
Line to center field, and Murphy's got his 2nd hit of the day. So Murphy is 2 for 3. Well, the Mets playing their first game with David Wright on the disabled list. Had an MRI this morning. Strained hamstring, goes on the DL, and Mets have to live for at least a couple of weeks and maybe more without their captain and their most important hitter in the middle of the lineup.
Well, that's probably going to be more than 2 weeks, more like 3 to 4. We'll see. I don't want to speculate, but it's a hamstring pull. It is definitely going to be 3, toughie. But a lot has to do with Bruce Chen today. He's just been brilliant. A brilliant 6 innings, Gary. You got to tip your hat to the pitcher.
Justin Turner's 1 for 2 today. Short hopped the wall in left field for a base hit in the 2nd, but was thrown out trying to stretch. And really, from that point on, nothing else went right for the Mets. They only had 1 more base runner against Chen. Now they've got a runner aboard in the 7th. Turner, the tying run at the plate. There goes Murphy. The throw by Contreras, and Murphy steals the base. His 13th of the year as he keeps on extending his career high.
Well, just picking your spots. You can pick your spots and easily steal 20 bases. Now Murph's got 13. And it's a good time to steal. You don't want to get thrown out. You better make it. Love that super slow.
You can see each grain of dirt. So Murphy's in scoring position with 1 out. A 2-0 count to Turner with Anthony Recker on deck. Now it's 3-0.
Well,
John Neese getting ready for what he hopes will be his last rehab start on Tuesday, sitting in front of David Wright.
kind of basking in the sun there.
So Neese could be back by the time the Mets get to Arizona next weekend. There's ball 4, and the Mets have the tying runs on base. First walk for either side today, as Hoshaver walks Turner on 4 pitches. The Royals have their left-hander Tim Collins up in the bullpen, as they fully recognize that the Mets have 2 left-handed bats on the bench today with Davis and Baxter. And so Collins, who was not here yesterday, getting himself ready now.
Dave Island.
Meanwhile, the Mets have their everyday lefty Scott Rice up in the bullpen. Dave Island, former pitching coach with the Yankees, now has the #1 staff ERA in the American League coming into today. Here's Anthony Recker with 2 aboard and 1 out. And Recker pops it up. Infield fly rule will be called as Tejada camps under it. The batter's out. 2 away. So Recker pops up the first pitch, and now Omar Quintanilla will come up with 2 out and 2 on. Ned Yost is on his way out to the mound. He's got the lefty Collins ready, And looks like he'll bring him in for Quintanilla. So a pitching change for the Royals. Mets have a threat going in the 7th with 2 out and 2 on. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless as Collins makes his way in. We'll be right back to Citi Field.
The left-handers, he's getting them out. A lot of lefties cannot get lefties out.
5'7", 165, and he throws 94 miles an hour. Not too many guys like that. Comes in to face Quintanilla with 2 out and 2 on. Omar's 0 for 2, fly down and grounded out today, and thinks about a bunt and takes outside. Andrew Brown has come out on deck to pinch hit. There's no pitcher up in the Royals bullpen, so if Quintanilla gets on, then Brown presumably would get to face the left-hander.
And Quintanilla on the year with 57 at bats, 211 against lefties.
And Collins promptly falls behind him 2-0. Tim Collins from Worcester, Mass, just 23 years old. Now in his 3rd year with the Royals. Two 2-0 to Quintanilla, and Omar fouls off the fastball. When I think of little guys who throw hard, I always think of Tom Hall. Remember him, the Blade?
Yes, with the Reds.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, part of that big red machine, the left-hander.
Briefly with the Mets, but he.
I faced him.
He was about 5'8", 5'9".
Big. They called him the Blade.
Blade,
right? And I think of David Cohn wasn't a big guy. Threw bullets.
Fastball, call strike. 2-2 to Quintanilla.
Dick Selma.
Is Selma a little guy?
Yes, I played with Dick. Dick was like 5'9". He could throw it through a brick wall.
Of course, Billy Wagner.
The list goes on. That's the beauty of baseball. You don't have to be a big guy to succeed.
Now the 2-2. Breaking ball fouled off. A 94-mile-an-hour fastball and a 73-mile-an-hour curveball.
He hung it right here. There's the motion looking at it. Oh, it looks easy, doesn't it?
No, actually, it looks very hard. 2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Quintanilla. Tying runs on base here in the 7th. And Omar takes strike 3 call. Jeff Nelson said that fastball caught the outside corner. And so Collins comes in and gets one big out to close out the 7th. You make the call. He's going to turn back into perpetual Pedro. He made his return to the majors last night. He's right back out there this afternoon. Pedro Feliciano.
Well, 4 pitches yesterday for Pedro, and I think that this is something they want to see how he responds to back-to-back days, even though it's only 4 pitches last night.
Eric Hosmer is 2 for 3 today. And he takes a strike on the inside. I asked Pedro this morning if he was nervous last night. After all, he hadn't been on a big league mound for 3 years. He said, I was a little anxious because, you know, he's a guy normally with ice water in his veins. But it was a long, torturous road back for Pedro Feliciano, who pitched in 92 games in 2010. Signed a 2-year deal with the Yankees and never threw a pitch for them. Had shoulder surgery. This spring he had a heart issue he has to work through. Then he had that food poisoning issue. And finally, 2.5 years later, here he is finally back on a big league mound at age 36.
Acrimonious statements from the Yankees.
Right. They talked about how Mets had abused him. Here's the thing about that. It was in all the papers that he was in 92 games. It wasn't exactly a trade secret. So if they felt that way, why did they sign him?
And Pedro was a workhorse for the Mets all those years.
Here's the 1-2 to Hosmer, and a breaking ball popped up near the mound, and Pedro's going to have to play it himself.
I got to get
any help. Sack was not going to get there. Recker never moved. He didn't know where the ball was, and so Pedro made the play himself for the first down.
Well, the ball wasn't hit that high. So it was good verbal communication here. See, Pedro's calling. Record doesn't see it. It's really got to be Satton's ball.
Yeah.
But then there was communication. That's what the. See, Record has no idea. But it's not his ball anyway. It's the first baseman's ball.
So 1 unassisted in your scorecard. Billy Butler, the batter. He's had a rough day. And it's Dyson who took over in the field after Butler started. Gerard Dyson, who took over in center field. Aaron Crow, the setup man for the Royals, who was so impressive last night, is up in the bullpen.
I forgot to put him in my scorecard,
so
too.
That's why I got it wrong. Turner was playing in against the speed of Dyson. Right place to be, and he throws him out 2 away. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Alex Gordon, who was 0 for 2, had a sacrifice fly in the Royals' 3-run third that came awfully close to being a grand slam. Jeremy Hefner gave up a home run to Contreras, then 3 hits loaded the bases, and Gordon hit one right to the fence in right field that Bird caught. And a good breaking ball by Feliciano, 0-1.
Well, Pedro is always difficult on lefties. That little sidearm. Remember when he was throwing over the top, and then he went into the sidearm and learned it like that?
Well, he was with the Mets. He went to Japan, and when he came back, they made him a sidearmer, and his career took off from there.
And for someone to make that kind of change that late in the career, that shows a remarkable amount of intelligence to be able to figure it out so quickly like Pedro did.
Miguel Tejada on deck. Well, I'll tell you this, and I think I speak for everybody in this organization. It is great to have him back. 1-2 to Gordon. You don't know how it's going to go, but to have a professional like Feliciano, who was such a valuable piece of this team for so long, back gives everybody a boost.
Well, he was one of those guys too that never ducked the press, and there were some difficult guys on that team that were a little surly, and Pedro was always accommodating, whether he did well or he did poorly. That's what I admired about him. You said it, Gary. He's a consummate professional.
And funny, too, which always helps. Of course, he's left-handed. Popped up shallow left field. Young got a late start in, but he'll get there. And that retires the side. So Feliciano, second day back, just as good as the first. 1-2-3 inning. And hitter Andrew Brown is the pinch hitter, and so Ned Yost will make the pitching change and bring in his 8th inning man, Aaron Crow, to pitch the bottom of the 8th and face Brown. So we'll step aside. 3-1 in the 8th. We'll be right back. Knight comes in for the 8th inning today.
And he's got a wicked breaking ball, folks.
Andrew Brown will stay in as the pinch hitter, and he takes outside ball 1. Salvador Perez has come in to catch. So after going for offense in his starting lineup today, Ned Yost now has his defensive unit in the game. Took Butler out in the last inning. Now he takes Gutierrez out and puts in his number 1 catcher. Grounded over the bag. That's a fair ball down the line. It caroms out to Gordon. Brown trying for 2, and now thinks better of it and goes back to first. Gordon's already shown off his arm in this game. He threw out Turner trying to stretch in the 2nd inning, and so Brown thinks better of it. And the Mets will get the tying run of the plate.
He would have been dead to rights. Nice hitting by Brown. Fastball down and in, right down the line. Watch the carom right here. That sets up the look at the throw on the run too. He's hustling out of the box. No chance for 2.
So Brown is aboard with a leadoff pinch single. And now Eric Young, who had a 2-run homer to win the game last night, is the tying run at the plate. Young is 1 for 3 today. Single back in the 1st inning. Mets now with 6 hits. Young takes it high, ball 1. Now Pedro Feliciano still calling for the pop-up.
It's like, who's got it?
Well, he's been back in the big leagues for less than 24 hours. He's faced 4 batters who've retired them all. Every reason to be happy. And now Crow behind on Young, 2-0. Crow last night gave up a leadoff double to Ike Davis, but then was able to get out of trouble in that 9th inning. The big at bat in that inning was Justin Turner, who he struck out on 3 pitches with the winning run at third base. While Lagares on deck. And Young fouls back the fastball, 2-1. Here's your Audi Mets box score. Daniel Murphy's home run has provided the Mets' only run today. He also the only Met with 2 hits. The Mets have had just a run on 6 hits this afternoon. 26-year-old Aaron Crow from the University of Missouri pitching for the Royals. And Young bunts, lays off, and the ball goes past Perez, and Brown goes down to second base. So Perez, who was brought in for defense, lets this one slip by.
Oh, he just missed it.
So it's a pass ball charge to Perez. Young was judged not to have offered at that, and so it's a 3-1 count with Brown at second and nobody out. And Young fouls it back. It was a 3-1 pitch he hit out of the ballpark last night. Got a 3-1 fastball here and fouled it back.
The difference in that fastball was the fact that the one he hit out last night was down over the middle. This one was up and in. And this young man throws a little bit harder than Mendoza.
Crow, a first-round draft pick back in 2009. Young lifts one to left, and Gordon back a few strides and gets there. Boy, he's a good outfielder.
He just looks like was born out there and was raised out in left field.
And the funny thing is, he was never an outfielder until a couple of years ago. They moved him from third base, and he has very quickly become an outstanding defensive player.
That is a very good idea, Garrett. Some Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I just slipped my mind. Russ, could you get me some iced coffee, please?
One out. Brown still at second, and Juan Lagares the batter. Lagares is 0 for 3, and he takes off the play from Crow. Juan 1 for 8 in this series. Was moved into the 2-hole last night by Terry Collins and kept there today. Josh Satin hitting third. He's on deck.
Well, the Royals are one of those teams we don't see a lot, Garrett, and that's late in the ball game, tying run at the plate here. 7th inning on. We're in the 8th. Guard the lines. The Royals are guarding the lines. Their corner infielders. There's Ned Yost. He's the old school. Got both his corner infielders guarding the line. No doubles.
Yost got his coaching start in the Braves organization. Ground ball toward the middle. And Escobar with a terrific stop, but he has no play. It's an infield hit for Lagares, and the Mets have the tying runs on base. Escobar saved a run by smothering that ball, but couldn't stop the base hit.
Well, Lagares gets hits in big spots. This is an RBI single, if not for this wonderful play by Escobar. That just saves a run. Double play here out of the inning now.
So 1st and 3rd and 1 out, and Josh Satin will be the batter.
Ironically, it would be a big spot in the game and have David Wright up normally.
Now the other question is, you're playing Satin because they started a left-hander. You've got Ike Davis sitting on the bench. I know that Terry only has a 4-man bench, and he's already used Brown, but I wonder if he considered using Ike in this spot.
And Ike is also a double play threat.
And Satin takes a fastball off the plate for ball 1.
So Crow in these tight games a little bit overthrows at times.
Kelvin Herrera, who pitched briefly last night, is up in the bullpen. 1-0 to Satin, who's 1 for 3 on the day. And Josh takes a fastball for a strike. 1-1.
Crow's throwing more fastballs today. Yesterday, all he did was throw a breaking ball.
One to Satin, and he lays off the breaking ball. 2-1.
So what we saw yesterday of Crow was that he threw all those curveballs, only 1 for a strike. He was down with all of his curveballs. So, okay, we've seen you once. We're going to make you get the curveball up.
And that's one thing about Satin. He does not generally chase out of the strike zone. He's very patient, sometimes to his own detriment. And he lays off that one, but that was a strike. 2-2. Crow pitching day game after a night game after a strenuous ninth inning yesterday. Two and two to Satin with runners at the corners. Lagares runs the pitch outside. No throw by Perez, and now the tying runs in scoring position.
I tell you what, this is twice that it's happened in 2 days. That puts the tying run in scoring position. Pitchers not holding runners on. What would they do with the 84 or 85 Cardinals?
It was the Mets who allowed the same situation last night with Dylan G on the mound. Elliott Johnson stole second to move the tying run into scoring position.
You can't allow that to happen.
So now a base hit for Satin could tie up the game. The infield will stay back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball. 3-2 from Crow. And Satin hits one toward the middle. Escobar can't get it. It's into center field. Brown scores. Lagares scores. The game is tied. Josh Satin with a 2-run single to get the Mets even. And the stolen base pays off big for the Mets.
Well, Satin broke an 0 for 11 with a base hit back in the fourth and gets a very big hit here.
Well, Escobar was able to smother Lagares' ball, but not this one.
Now the ball's to his left. Shouldn't look over your shoulder. Pick up your third base, coach. But Lagares runs so well, easily scores, and the Mets have fought back to a tie.
So that gets Jeremy Hefner off the hook. As Satin drives in a pair, his 9th and 10th runs batted in. Now he's the go-ahead run at first with 1 out, and Marlon Byrd the batter. Marlon is 0 for 3 today. Struck out, line to left, fly to right. Satin without much speed at first base. Hosmer will hold him on there. And Byrd takes a slider for a strike. So that slider from Crow maybe not as sharp as it was last night.
Well, he's thrown more fastballs. They've laid off. They saw him yesterday, and they were paying attention. I mean, it's obvious. Make him get his curveball up. His curveball's not as sharp.
In the dirt, picked out by Perez, 1-1.
So here's the thing, Garrett. When you lay off the bad curveball in the dirt, it's a ball. Now you're hitting 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. He's got to come to you, especially in a tight ball game. Men on base where you can hurt him and beat him.
Well, Satin took a breaking ball for a strike and then hit the breaking ball on 3-2. Byrd takes a fastball up and in 2-1.
Crow's all over the place this inning.
Let's get David Aardsma up alongside Scott Atchison in the bullpen. Aardsma, the closer of the moment for the Mets, blew a save last night. Perez fakes the throw to first, almost spun himself into the ground. And now Crow behind on Byrd, 3-1.
Good pitch to hit right here. And Crow is in the process of coughing it up.
Daniel Murphy's had a good day at the plate, is waiting on deck. They've already spent their only left-hander in the bullpen. That was Collins, who came in to get Quintanilla to end the 7th. 3-1 now to Marlon Byrd, and he popped it up. Hosmer, the first baseman, taking charge, and that's the 2nd out.
Look how he pulls a little bit of a Don Drysdale, a Rick Sutcliffe. That's called cupping the ball.
So now Murphy, who's 2 for 3 on the day, and a long home run to right center in the 2nd, his 9th of the year, and a base hit up the middle and stole a base in the 7th.
Well, Murph didn't get a big hit right here.
Satin at first with 2 down. Mets have tied the game here in the 8th. And it's into the air to left. Over toward the corner goes Gordon. Disappears from our view. And no catch. Foul ball.
Oh, Murph got a break there.
Well, I can't wait to see the replay.
I missed it.
Well, we can't see that corner from here, so let's see what happened. Nice effort.
Oh, he had it.
And then it hit the railing and it came out.
Oh, what a great shot. Well, that captured it.
Whose hat is
he
that?
He almost caught it coming down.
That's a fan's hat that came flying out of the stands?
He almost caught it coming down.
So he had it in the glove. The glove hit the railing and...
Oh, he almost caught it coming down.
It's quite an effort. He's had himself a fantastic game. That would have been the catch of the year. Now, who wears that hat to this ballpark?
No, Yankee hat. Can you believe that? Oh.
Murphy with the emergency hack. And it's 0-2.
No.
So the Yankee hat got in Gordon's way, and he's nice enough to give the fan back that oddly placed hat. Murphy takes strike 3 call. Knee-high strike to end the inning. But the Mets rally to tie it in the bottom of the 8th inning. Juan Lagares stealing second, put himself in scoring position, and Josh Sutton gets him home with the tying run. 3-3 as we go to the 9th. Hitless innings out of the bullpen already, and now Scott Atchison will pitch the top of the 9th. Miguel Tejada leads off for the Royals. Tejada's had a big day at the plate, 3 for 3, and he's driven in a run. He has 3 of the Royals' 8 hits. Gonzalez Herman pitched a 1-2-3 7th. Pedro Feliciano a 1-2-3 8th, and now Atchison facing Tejada, who's 2 for 3 against him in his career. And he fouls it away 0-2. Tejada, then Mike Moustakas and Alcides Escobar for the Royals in the 9th. And the breaking ball hit to shortstop. Quintanilla waits on it and throws out Tejada one away.
Well, notice all of Tejada's hits today were to right field, and Atchison very much down there in that bullpen paying attention, went right inside, and where his pots and pans were and jammed them.
So Tejada retired for the first time today, and now Mike Moustakas, who's 0 for 3. Atchison last pitched on Thursday afternoon, faced one batter, struck out Jake Marisnick with a couple of men on in Miami. Now pitching the 9th inning in a tie game, and he misses high with a breaking ball to Moustakas. That's bullpen is compromised right now. Parnell unavailable, but still on the active roster. Moustakas hits it out to center. Lagares has room in front of the warning track. 2 out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Topps, rip a pack and collect all your favorite New York Mets. For giveaways, follow Topps on Twitter at Topps Cards and on Facebook.com/Topps. And by Geico. Now Alcides Escobar, who's 0 for 3, hit the ball hard as last time up, lined out to Murphy at second base. Right now 1 for his last 26, and takes the letter high strike from Atchison. That bullpen has been tremendous over the last 5 weeks. Since the 1st of July, a bullpen ERA of 2.15. The addition of Ardsma, the addition of Torres, the development of Edgin before he went down with a rib injury. It's all come together for that bullpen, but now with Edgin out and Parnell for the moment unavailable, it's become tougher for Terry Collins to try and figure it out. The return of Feliciano so far has worked out perfectly. 1-2 now to Escobar. So Torres will be in that bullpen for good now after making 3 starts. He is now officially back in the pen.
And the Mets again then have a kind of a long reliever, classic long reliever. Remember, it's a bullpen, the Mets bullpen, with a lot of elder statesmen, journeyman relievers that you can't overtax. So
Right.
it's good to have someone. It's almost imperative for this bullpen to have someone to really chew up middle innings.
Well, Atchison's pitched all year with a wonky elbow and put him on the DL for a while. Came back at the groin problem, so he can't pitch all that often. Nice backhand by Satin. Overhand toss to Atchison. He finds the bag and the side retired. 9 up and 9 down for the Mets bullpen. Now the Mets will try and win it in walk-off fashion for the 2nd straight day. 3-3 in the 9th. 9th after pulling one out in the bottom of the 11th last night. Changes for the Royals. Elliott Johnson will play second base. He'll bat 9th. The new pitcher Kelvin Herrera goes in the 5-hole as Tejada comes out.
Well, Herrera pitched 1 inning of relief last night. He was the first reliever in. That was in the 6th inning. Struck out 2 and walked 1.
Justin Turner will lead off for the Mets in the last of the 9th. It'll be Turner, Recker, and Quintanilla due. The Mets still have 2 left-handed bats on their bench in Davis and Baxter. Pitcher due up 4th in the inning. Tomorrow afternoon, the final game of this series. Zach Wheeler gets the start tomorrow. Moved up in the rotation. He'll go after his 5th win. Urban Santana, who's had a real good year, will go for the Royals. Our coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30 right here on SNY. So Herrera, who threw 22 pitches last night in his 6th inning work, comes in to face Turner, who's been on base twice tonight with a single and a walk. 1 for 2. And he takes a fastball strike at 98 miles an hour. Herrera, the hardest thrower in that very hard throwing Kansas City bullpen. Averages 98 with his fastball. Mike Davis with a helmet on his head and a bat in his hands. Baxter with merely a bat. Bouncing ball to short, comes up for Escobar. Turner retired, 1 out. So 1 out in the last of the 9th, and now Anthony Recker, who's 0 for 3 today, struck out and popped up twice. The Royals 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. The Mets 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Jeremy Hefner had 1 rough inning in the 3rd, gave up 3 runs, but the Mets have held the Royals in check since. The Mets got a home run from Murphy in the 2nd, and then a 2-run single from Josh Satin to tie the game in the 8th. Recker bats with 1 out and nobody on. And bounces the first pitch down to 3rd, a foul ball. As Keith noted in the last inning, the Royals playing the lines, playing no doubles. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night at 10:30, Circus Indeed. Hall of Fame ceremonies in Canton, Ohio, and the Jets have their scrimmage all on Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30. See Hosmer and Moustakas on the corners, both guarding the line.
Yep, I'm a firm believer.
Record takes a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Now Herrera's got a 12-6 curveball. For all you novice fans out there that might be just tuning in for the first time, that's a think of a dial the clock, 12 noon to 6, straight over the top curve.
Top to bottom. Or as they say sometimes in the trade, nose to toes. '23-year-old Kelvin Herrera in his 3rd year with the Royals, and comes in throwing bullets. Oh, and 2 to Recker, and Anthony takes inside. Changeup from Herrera, 1-2. Omar Quintanilla waits on deck. If anybody gets on, the pitcher's spot would be up, and we saw Ike Davis in the dugout preparing. Recker goes down swinging. 2 men down. So Herrera showing off 3 pitches in this inning.
Came inside and got him. Oh, change. That's not fair. Circle change.
So 2 out and nobody on, and it's left to Omar Quintanilla, who's 0 for 3 today. Flied out, grounded out, took a call 3rd strike to end the 7th with 2 out and 2 on. Ike Davis would bat if Quintanilla can keep the inning going. And Omar takes a knee-high strike with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And the curveball in for a strike. This is almost unfair.
It's not fair.
I mean, 3 quality pitches.
It's there should be a law against it.
Then they might outlaw Matt Harvey. Who would want that? Here's the 0-2, and Quintanilla hits it slowly. Johnson in front of it, and we're going to extra innings for the 2nd straight day. Through 9 at Citi Field, Mets and Royals tied at 3. Field. It's been a year full of extra inning games for the Mets. Your Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Longest average length of game. There are 3 American League teams ahead of the Mets, but no National League team. They're all by themselves. Scott Atchison, who had a 10-pitch 1-2-3 ninth inning, stays on for the 10th. Salvador Perez up for the first time. Came in to catch. Committed a pass ball that helped the Mets tie the game, and now bounces one down to Turner at third. Plenty of time with the slow-footed Perez. 1 out.
Boy, Perez didn't even run that ball out.
You know, the Royals have 2 types of players in their lineup. They've got speed demons and truck horses. There's nothing in between.
Well, this is not a very good effort here. That's just getting my my lowrider there. My convertible down, 2nd gear, sunglasses on.
Here's Elliott Johnson, who just came in the last half inning and takes a curveball for a strike from Atchison. Johnson started last night at second base, went 0 for 3. He has struggled with the bat this year. Switch hitter, batting just .195 for the season. Came over from Tampa Bay in the same deal where the Royals got James Shields and Wade Davis. Lorenzo Cain, the leadoff hitter, on deck. Met relievers have now faced 10 batters and retired them all. It has been a tremendous run for this bullpen. Gonzalez Herman a 1-2-3 7th. Pedro Feliciano a 1-2-3 8th. 4 up and 4 down so far for Scott Atchison. And Johnson fouls it off, and it's 2-2. The Royals came into this series a red-hot team. They had won 9 straight games. The Mets cooled them off last night. They also came in an almost unbeatable team in extra innings. Kansas City was 7-1 in extra innings before their loss last night. 3-2 now to Johnson. The Mets, with their win last night, evened up their extra inning ledger. They're now 7-7 in extra inning games. Got him. Atchison strikes on Johnson. 2 men down. First strikeout for Scott.
Slider down out of the strike zone. Fishing.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Lorenzo Cain, who's 1 for 4. Single to left, scored a run in the 3rd. The last base runner for the Royals was Miguel Tejada, an infield single back in the 6th. Jeremy Hefner retired his last 2 hitters. So that's 13 straight Royals who've been retired. A ball and a strike to Cain. Lorenzo Cain, who started out his career in Milwaukee, moved to Kansas City when the Brewers traded for Zach Greinke. He takes the big hack at the slider, and it's 1-2. Now Atchison's 1-2 pitch, and Cain hits a tapper right back to him. Atchison shows off the ups and makes the play to end the inning. 6 up and 6 down for Scott Atchison, and a rebound to boot. Overtime baseball at Citi Field. What else is new?
Number 15 for the Mets.
Mets have already played a 20-inning game, a 16-inning game, 2 15-inning games. Well, Mike Baxter just returned from the minor leagues today. Took David Wright's spot on the active roster. Mike's last big league at bat was June the 9th. And he bats against Kelvin Herrera leading off in the last of the 10th. Mike got off to a slow start when he was sent down, but in 42 games down in Las Vegas, he wound up hitting .275 with 5 home runs. A ball and a strike to Baxter, who's had a couple of walk-off hits for the Mets this season. Got off to a somewhat slow start this year, and now after a stint in the minor leagues and the birth of his son, ready to restart his big league career. And takes the curveball out of the strike zone. 2-1. Last year Mike hit over 400 as a pinch hitter. 263 overall. Just 212 this year. He fouled back the fastball. 2-2. Eric Young on deck. Then Juan Lagares for the Mets against Herrera, who pitched the 1-2-3 ninth inning. After the Mets got to Aaron Crow for a couple of runs to tie the game in the 8th. A 2-run single by Josh Satin getting the game even. 2-2 to Baxter. And Mike just got a piece of that changeup to stay alive. Herrera, the 5th Kansas City pitcher. Bruce Chen was tremendous today. Allowed a run on 4 hits in 6 innings. Luke Hochevar and Tim Collins combined for a scoreless 7th, and then Crow gave up the 2 in the 8th. Baxter pulls one into right, but there is Kane to pick it off for the out. So a soft line drive to right field for the first out. 1 away. Now Eric Young, who ended matters last night for the Mets.
Well, down fastball. Middle. First home run as a Met.
First walk-off hit of his career. It came at the bottom of the 11th inning with a man on. Now a bat in the bottom of the 10th, hoping for something of the same ilk. Eric is 1 for 4. He had a base hit leading off the first inning. Since then, he's hit the ball in the air 3 times and been retired. And taking all the way, a call strike. Eric hit his walk-off home run last night, just about 15 years after his father, Eric Young Sr., hit the only walk-off home run of his career as a Dodger against Steve Klein of the Expos, August of 1998.
Steve Klein, the old left-handed specialist, right?
2 balls and a strike to Young.
Boy, you look at Herrera. He's got an ERA in the 4s. You wonder how in the heck. He's got good stuff.
Well, too many walks for one thing.
Yep.
And 9 home runs in 36 innings. I guess that would explain it.
Yes. So tell me, Gary, this is the 15th extra inning game. You've been at this a lot longer. I never paid attention to how many extra inning games I played. Is that considered a lot, or is that normal?
I think it's a lot, but I think it seems like more because of all the long extra inning games. Young goes down on strikes. Fastball by Herrera blows him away for the second out.
Uh-oh.
Our first Cholula flamethrower of the night.
It's reared its ugly head.
You know what I mean? I mean, 15 extra inning games is probably a lot for the first 2/3 of the season, but the 20 inning game and the 16 inning game and the 15 inning games, and then you throw in all the rain delays and the rainouts and all that, and it's just seemed like a lot of extra baseball this year. So here's Lagares, who's 1 for 4, had an infield hit, stole a base, and scored the tying run in the 8th inning. And he hits one down the right field line, slicing. Kane moves over and grabs it right before it's smacking the sidewall. He caught it in fair territory, and that retires the side. So the Mets are on 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 10th. They've got some speed in that Royals outfield. Kane made that look easy. 1985. The only World Series championship in Kansas City Royals history. Brett Saberhagen, Game 7, a 5-hit shutout to beat the Cardinals 11-0 and secure the World Series for Kansas City.
And that was the Cardinals. The Cardinals were up 3-1 in that series.
And then the blown call in Game 6, where George Ordo was called safe at first base by Don Denkinger on a play where he was clearly out, and that enabled the Royals to rally and force that Game 7.
Jack Clark missed a pop-up on the first base dugout in that game that would have ended the inning before that play would have occurred, I believe.
Scott Rice in to pitch the 11th inning for New York. Eric Hosmer, the first man up for Kansas City, and he swings over the fastball, 0-1. Hosmer 2 for 4 today.
Yeah, today.
Well, it's been a long day. It was a long night last night.
It was.
11 innings for the second straight day. Each team with 3 runs and 8 hits as we start the 11th. And a little tapper foul, and Rice quickly ahead 0-2. Scott worked last night, faced only 1 batter. Excuse me, 2 batters. He hit Gordon with a pitch, then he got Hosmer on a ground ball. It'll be Hosmer, then Gerard Dyson, and Alex Gordon. Long drive, deep right center field. Bird back in the gap, and he makes the catch. Bird got a great break on that ball, and it wound up being an easy play. 1 out.
Got in on him a little bit. Just enough. Marlin gets a good track on it. That's a Del Monte corn.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Dyson. Now remember that Billy Butler started this game. Ned Yost went for his offensive lineup today, put Butler in the 3-hole at first base and moved Hosmer out to right field. Drag bunt attempt, Rice off the mound, easy play, and that's the 2nd out. Almost had trouble with the transfer.
He sure did.
Makes the play.
Well, he's so tall and long-legged.
Interesting that you point that out, because our buddy Jay Horwitz informs us today that Scott Rice, who's been listed all year at 6'6", measured himself today and found out he's 6'7". He's standing a little taller today than he did yesterday.
Was it a weigh-in day or something?
I don't know.
There used to be that in our time, you know. Once a month, the first of the month would be a weigh-in day.
I don't think Scott needs to be weighed in. He's kind of slender. Here's Alex Gordon, who's 0 for 3 in a sacrifice fly today. But I found that very interesting that in the midseason, Scott Rice has gained an inch. I mean, he's 31 years old. You're not supposed to grow when you're 31.
I think he was mistaken.
You think he was always 6'7", or you think that he just mismeasured himself?
I think he was always 6'7".
Well, it looks good on him.
Oh, good sinker down and in.
Rice has gotten better and better as the season has gone along, as he's worked a little bit less.
He's got to have faith in that pitch to a left-hander. He doesn't. I don't think he fully understands how wicked that is, that hard sinker down and in to those left-hand hitters.
0-2 to Gordon. And he bounces the slider. Pitcher spot is due up next for Kansas City, and Justin Maxwell, who's the last man left on Ned Yost's bench, has come out on deck. See, now we have not updated our biography lower third graphic there. It still says 6'6".
Oh.
We're not quite up to date.
We've got to stay contemporary.
I know you do. Here's the 1-2, and misses low and in with a sinker. 2-2. Our graphics coordinator says he needs official confirmation before he's going to update it. We need the official Department of Weights and Measures to come out with the yardstick for Scott Rice. 2 out and nobody on. 2-2 to Gordon, and he hits it out to center. Lagares has it measured. Side retired. 1-2-3. The Met bullpen continues perfect. 15 up and 15 down. Josh Satin leads off for the Mets in the bottom of the 11th. Kelvin Herrera will stay in for a third inning for Kansas City. Satin has the biggest hit in this game for New York. He had a 2-run single up the middle to drive in the second and third Met runs to tie the game in the 8th. He's 2 for 4 on the afternoon. Herrera has not gone more than 2 innings this year. He went 2 1/3 once last year. He has to work a third inning this afternoon. And Satin swings and misses at the fastball, 0-2. Marlon Byrd on deck, and then Daniel Murphy. So far, Herrera's been perfect, 6 up and 6 down. The Met bullpen has pitched 5 perfect innings, 15 up and 15 down. Jerry Collins, with his bullpen compromised by the unavailability of Bobby Parnell, nonetheless has gotten outstanding work from him last night and again today. 0-2 to Satin, and he bounces one for the second baseman Johnson. 1 out at the bottom of the 11th. Now Marlon Byrd. Marlon is 0 for 4 today. Satin's hit in the 8th inning was the last base runner for either side. The last 9 Mets have been retired. The last 17 Royals have been retired.
Play to the cows come home.
When exactly do the cows?
They come home when it gets dark.
We got plenty of time. And Byrd did not swing. First base umpire Jim Wolf gives him the pass. 1-0. And we have a good 4 more hours of daylight.
Sure we do. We can go 20.
David Artsma up in the Mets bullpen, hoping the Mets get him a lead to work with.
This young man right here has got good stuff.
I said something silly. They can't give him a lead to work with. If they get a lead, the game's over. You knew that, right?
Well, it happens, Garrett. Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. I'm just correcting myself.
Perfectionist, I understand.
Lewis Coleman up in the Kansas City bullpen. 2-1 to Byrd. Herrera going deeper into a game than he ever has. Two and 1 to Byrd, and it's up and in, and now Herrera behind in the count. First time since he's come in that he's fallen behind.
So I got to think right now, bottom of the 11th, Marlon's looking middle in to try to hit one out of here.
Again, Herrera is a guy who has given up 9 home runs this year in 37 innings. Marlon leads the Mets with 17 home runs, and he takes that pitch high, ball 4. And the Mets have their first base runner in extra innings. So now 1 out and 1 on for Daniel Murphy, who started the scoring today with a home run back in the second inning. His 9th of the year. He's also singled and stolen a base, 2 for 4. The Mets are playing their 47th extra inning of the year. That is the most in baseball.
We can attest to that.
Well, you said it felt like a lot, so I'm
yes,
confirming for you that it's more than any other more extra innings than any other team has played this year.
And it's those guys down that first base dugout that have been the recipient of it. Had to bear the burden, so to speak.
Well, how about Marlon Byrd? He's 35 years old. He's playing every day. He's played through all these extra inning games. And now he's running the bases in the 11th inning. They are really shading Murphy to left center field in the outfield.
Pitch him away, play him away.
I mean, look at where Dyson and Gordon are playing.
Big gap in right center. Murph could run forever, and that would definitely score Bird.
And now, after walking Bird, Herrera's behind Murphy 3-0. I don't think we've ever seen Murphy swing 3-0, have we?
He should right now. If he gets a fastball, look to get a gap. End this thing.
I saw an amazing stat yesterday from our friends at Bloomberg. Of all 3-0 pitches,
yes,
1/8 of them are swung at. I thought that was an extremely high number.
Which means
I would have thought maybe 5%, but it's like
coaches,
almost 13%.
Manager has to give the green light.
But not that time. Murphy fouls back the fastball, and now it's 3-2. And our stat man, Dave Freed, who knows everything, confirms that Murph has not swung at a 3-0 pitch this year. So now, would you run Bird with 3-2 and 1 out?
Yes. Murph doesn't strike out.
Bird runs. Murph strikes out. Perez's throw is perfect. Strike him out, throw him out, double play, and we'll go to the 12th.
How's that for analysis?
Perfect throw by Perez, and we play on. Murph swinging through the fastball, and right on the money, Johnson with the tag. Justin Turner moves from third base to second base, and Josh Satin moves from first base to third base. So Murphy comes out. The pitcher will hit in the 5-hole as David Aardsma comes on to pitch the 12th.
Well, Aardsma came in to save the game last night and gave up a couple runs. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 run. That tied the ball game.
Gave up a leadoff double to Miguel Tejada. Later, the sacrifice fly by Lorenzo Cain to get the game even. Justin Maxwell batting for the pitcher. He's the last man left on Ned Yost's bench. And he takes high, ball 1. Well, the Met bullpen has been perfect. 5 innings, 15 up, 15 down after Jeremy Hefner left after 6. One and 0 to Maxwell, and he takes below the knees. Maxwell just acquired at the trading deadline from Houston. appeared as a pinch hitter yesterday, had an infield single. This is only his third game with the Royals. Mike Moustakas on deck, and then Alcides Escobar. Maxwell, the former Washington National, takes up and away, and Aardsma quickly behind 3-0. Aardsma designated as the temporary closer, with Bobby Parnell still suffering with a stiff neck, and just don't know right now how long Parnell's going to be out. They hope only another day or two. There's a strike, 3-1. Parnell is still on the active roster. He's due to see the doctor again on Monday. But it's become a bit of a longer proposition than the men suspected when he first came up with that stiff neck that he blamed on bad pillows.
Well, I almost woke up with a stiff neck this morning.
How are you now?
I did not spend the night at the ballpark. I had a little bit of a sore clavicle.
3-2 to Maxwell, and he drives one deep down the left field line, hooking toward the pole, and it's out of here. A home run for Justin Maxwell, a pinch hit homer in the top of the 12th, and the Royals take a 4-3 lead.
Wow.
For Maxwell, his third home run of the year, his first as a Royal, and he's given Kansas City the lead in the 12th inning.
Well. Behind the count, fastball up and in, too much plate. Right down the line, no doubt.
Well, the Royals had 17 straight hitters retired, and Maxwell breaks that with the home run against Aardsma.
Tough series for Aardsma thus far.
One to Mike Moustakas, who's 0 for 4 today. So now Greg Holland, I would presume, will get ready in the Kansas City bullpen. Their fine closer. 5th career pinch hit home run for Justin Maxwell, who spent his entire career as a part-time player. 2-1 to Moustakas.
Just his 3rd home run, but a big one. Rally caps. Looks like Beanie and Cecil.
They appear to have been effective, those rally caps. Well, Maxwell, just days after introducing himself to his new teammates, now provides them with a lead. Moustakas pulls one foul, and it's 2-2. Well, in the bottom of the 12th, the Mets will have Turner, Recker, and Quintanilla due up, and if anybody gets on, Ike Davis. And Aardsma now will try and keep this game at a single run and give the Mets a shot at it. And Moustakas out on strikes. Good splitter by Aardsma to get him, 1 down.
Oh, good one is right.
So 1 out and nobody on after the Maxwell home run. And now Alcides Escobar, who's 0 for 4 today, 0 for 8 in the series. Well, the Mets came from behind in the 8th inning with a couple of runs to get even. And now they'll have to come from behind again. They had that game against the Diamondbacks, you remember, back in was it early July, where they came from behind twice to tie the game in extra innings.
Yes.
Home runs by Recker and then by Neuenhuis.
That was amazing. That game was an incredible game.
Wound up going 15 innings. It was the 4th of July. Aardsma behind Escobar at 2-0, and he pops it up. Quintanilla takes charge, and that's the 2nd out. So 2 out of the top of the 12th, and now Salvador Perez will get his 2nd turn at bat. Came in for defense in the 8th inning, grounded out, and is only at bat in the 10th. So there is Greg Holland, the Kansas City closer, getting himself ready He'll be bidding for his 29th save of the year. Good slider by Artsman. 0-1 to Perez. Perez hitting 8th in the order. Elliott Johnson is batting 9th. He's on deck if Salvador Perez keeps the inning going. And a call strike of the knee is 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and Perez pops it up into shallow center. Lagares eases in, and that retires the side, but the Royals grab the lead on a pinch hit home run by Justin Maxwell. His first in a Royals uniform, and Kansas City takes a 4-3 lead into the bottom of the 12th at Citi Field. On your left.
Very good, Garrett.
Well, you know, I've lived here all my life.
That was my neighborhood right on down there. There's the UN right down yonder, and on the right would be me. Used to be me.
Greg Holland, 28 saves and 30 chances this year, comes on for Kansas City.
21 in a row.
Justin Turner leads off in the 9th and fouls off the first pitch fastball, I should say in the 12th. The Mets down 4-3.
Big hard thrower, Holland.
Holland took over as the Royals closer last year. He's 27 years old. Out of Western Carolina University in Cullowhee, North Carolina. Now Holland ranks up among the leaders in the American League in saves.
Look at Mariano, ageless wonder.
You sure he's going to retire?
Almost has to now to give back all those gifts.
That's true. Feel like canceling the wedding at the last moment. 2-1 to Turner, who's 1 for 3 and a walk today. Anthony Wecker is due next. John Buck on deck to bat for him. Buck is the last man left on the Mets bench. Quintanilla due up 3rd in the inning, and if anybody gets on, Ike Davis. 2-2 now to Turner. Holland, 65 strikeouts in 41 innings. That's 14.3 strikeouts per 9. That's tops in the American League. Only Aroldis Chapman, who's over 15 strikeouts per 9 innings, has a higher strikeout ratio. Two and two to Turner. And just got a piece of that, a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Then we'll take a look at his motion here. Big little short leg kick. It really follows through, almost like Bob Gibson used to follow through.
He's only 5'10", but he's 200 pounds, has those strong legs. That's a talent. Holland, the 6th Kansas City pitcher of the afternoon. Kelvin Herrera stands to be the winner. He went 3 hitless innings, the longest outing of his career. Perez took the brunt of that last foul tip. They've already used both their catchers today, so, and they've used every position player. So if Perez were badly shaken up, they'd have a predicament. Where exactly did that get him?
I don't know. Can we see that again? Because this is taking a longer than I expected. Oh, got him right in the chinny chin. That hurts. All right, you got a pitcher out there. Let's go.
So Perez convinces the trainer he's all right. 2-2 to Turner, leading off the bottom of the 12th, with the Mets down by a run. And the pitch popped up.
Good curve.
Elliott Johnson, the second baseman, calling all the way. 1 out. So Turner is retired. And now John Buck will bat for Anthony Recker. Recker went 0 for 4 today. Buck caught last night and went 0 for 5. So the former Royal Buck asking the young catcher Perez where it struck him. Those catchers are a fraternity unto themselves.
So 2 days in a row. Well, both benches emptied in this one. The only guy that wasn't used last night was Contreras, I believe.
Right. So 1 out and nobody on for Buck. Pinch hitting for Recker. And he takes the breaking ball for a strike. Now both bullpens have been tremendous. Arnsman gave up the home run, but that's the only base runner against the Mets bullpen today. 18 out of 19 they've retired. Holland showing off the breaking stuff and gets ahead 0-2. Meanwhile, the Royals bullpen, Crow gave up a couple of runs in the 8th, but then Herrera was tremendous for his 3 innings, and now Holland trying to save it for Kansas City. Now the 0-2 to Buck. And he tries to hold.
No.
Stopped it. Jim Wolf with the call. 1-2. Holland ahead on Buck. 1-2 with 1 out and nobody on. And John takes the breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2.
Boy, he just really falls to the first base side of the mound. Good over the top curve, split finger, and serious cheddar cheese.
Now on 2-2, Buck swings and misses at the fastball. 2 men down. So Holland has his first strikeout, and the Mets are down to their final out of the afternoon.
Watch him fall to your left towards first base. Strong legs. Look at the bend.
And they always tell pitchers keep that straight line toward home plate. Holland doesn't, but it still works. So Omar Quintanilla will try and keep it going for New York. Mets hoping for a bloop and a blast with Quintanilla at the plate and Davis on deck. Omar is 0 for 4 today. Mets won in 11 innings last night. Down to their final out in the 12th inning today.
Well, we're going to give you a shot here behind home plate. A bird's eye view here. Watch him. He does step straight home. Look at the power in those legs. Look at that. That is some serious lower body strength.
I think that would hurt your left knee.
Oh. He is bent with his front leg. He is just a horse.
Quintanilla takes a fastball for a strike, and the Mets are down to their final strike of the afternoon.
I mean, you can put reins around him and plow, and you go plow the back nine for you. He's a strong man.
Oh, and 2 to Quintanilla with 2 out and nobody on. And Omar strikes out. Perez will toss it down to first, and the ball game is over. So Holland fans 2 in a 1-2-3 bottom of the 12th of the save. Justin Maxwell's pinch hit home run on the top of the 12th wins it for Kansas City, as these two teams have traded extra inning wins in the last 24 hours. The Royals win this one in 12, 4-3.
Well, the first game without David Wright in the lineup with the hamstring injury, and he was sorely missed. The Mets banged out 8 hits, 3 runs, home run by Daniel Murphy, his 9th. But this was all about the pitching right here. Both bullpens were outstanding. Aartsma gave up the home run to Maxwell to end it.
Well, there you see your Time Warner Cable game summary. The Met bullpen retired 18 of 19 hitters, but Aartsma couldn't get Maxwell, who hit the pinch hit home run in the top of the 12th to give the Royals the lead, and they hang on for the 4-3 12-inning victory. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the furniture store of the New York Mets. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by your local Tri-Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2013 Pilot. Final score in 12 innings, the Royals 4 and the Mets 3. Rubber game of this 3-game series tomorrow afternoon. Zach Wheeler will be on the mound against Irvin Santana. Our coverage begins tomorrow on SNY at 12:30. Now for Keith Hernandez, Eamon McEnany, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for W.B. Mason postgame.